Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fox 10 News Now. My name is Jeff Moriarty. I'm going to be your host today. Our usual host, Ms. Samia Khan, is out, and we are going to have a fantastic event for you here today. We've got a bunch of things lined up. We're going to be taking a look at, of course, Ms. Jodi Arias. The story is not done there yet, as she takes her inaugural visit to, a permanent visit, to Perryville State Prison. Also some questions that have come up around the jurors who were there and their wearing of blue in the courtroom. Interesting discussion there that I thought we would get into as well. Oh, let's see. We have a pair of adorable dogs, a Chihuahua and a boxer, that have found a new home. Somebody wearing, or who already has a Hillary 2016 license plate on his car, and a lot more. So, all right. I see we've got a lot of our usual chat room people in there. Good to see you. Somebody's saying they cannot hear me very well, so I will kick that mic up. Yesterday we were blowing everybody out, so I was trying to be considerate there, and let's see. If that doesn't work, you let me know. So, thank you very much. Also have Sky Fox in the air on a possible scene. Whole lot of things possibly going on. We'll keep on top of those. Let me know what you think. Again, love getting the feedback and chat in the chat room. So, I'll also have Mr. Ron Hook, combining a couple of anchors there. Ron Hoon, there he is, joining us. Oh, he's still got a few things to do. So, we're going to start it out with Jodi Arias going to Perryville. This was a big topic yesterday, of course. Everyone was wondering when's she going to go, wanting to see her go in. We were hoping to get aerials of it. Did not work out, but we have that for you now. It's not particularly exciting, but it is a bit of closure. It is something that a lot of people wanted to see. There's not, you can see the van rolling up. We weren't sure how long after the actual sentencing that she was going to go to Perryville. For a while, there was an assumption that it could take as long as 48 hours for her to be sent, but people were still discussing the case. I'm not sure everyone had left the courtroom, and the van was already rolling up to Perryville. So, we're going to take a look at that, and let's see here. Here we go. All right. So here we have the vans rolling up in a very unceremonious procession. I'm not sure who all else is in the particular vans. Rolling up to Perryville State Prison. Sheriff Joe having no interest in keeping Ms. Arias in his custody any longer than necessary. And that's pretty much all you get to see, unfortunately. She is now going to, she already is in her cell in Perryville, where she will be spending the rest of her life. Again, this is footage from yesterday on her trip. Again, shortly after, I think within, a couple hours?
I think within a couple, yeah.
Ron Toons joined me here. Let's get his mic on. She was sent back out. We can watch that one more time. It's not a very long clip, but for a lot of people, it is one that they've been looking forward to seeing for a very, very long time.
I kind of wondered how you were going to finish that sentence there, because people were asking for it yesterday. I mean, I think people wanted to see that final piece to the puzzle fit in. And watch right there. I mean, you see that gate clang close, and I mean, we already knew that her freedom was gone forever and has been for so many number of days, but there you go. Boom, closed. That's it. You are never leaving that facility for the rest of your life.
Some people have asked about the number of people who have been in there or who was all of this just for her?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure. I would imagine that there's other people going to and from Perryville, and this isn't a convoy just for Arias, but
that wouldn't make a lot of sense. When I saw that too, I thought, oh gosh, 4 or 5 vehicles? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, you would think there's some other folks going in for processing. What's interesting, Jeff, is driving in the crazy hours. Here, I'm going to slide over just a little bit. Driving in the crazy hours that I do, I think that sometimes those are the super early morning hours, for whatever reason, is when the police from various cities. I drive in from a suburb east of Phoenix called Mesa, and I see these occasional these police vans that are headed toward downtown, and I think that they are bringing in prisoners for processing. They've been arrested for local crimes, and now they are headed to the county jail. And so, the whole business of corrections, if you want to call it that, incarceration, etc., is one I think that probably happens 24/7. And we just got a little glimpse of it right there. And it would only make sense that there were some other people being processed there yesterday as well.
Yeah. On the flip side, it wouldn't be the goofiest thing I'd ever heard of in the Jodi Arias case either. So
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised either way. All right, we had something else I wanted to talk about regarding Ms. Arias. However, we're going to take a little bit of a digression here because we have Let me get that audio out of there.
I've got a couple of notes on this. I'm going to be right back.
Okay, that was Ron Hoon breaking.
So the first thing you heard was the helicopter, which I still don't know why the helicopter makes that noise. And now I don't know what the heck I just did. But anyway, will you give me...
I apologize for anybody whose head exploded, including my own. I was a little...
Okay, but there's something actively going on here.
I will get to that. You return safely. Right. Oh, boy. So what happened here? And, well, you know what? Let me just bring you this, what's going on here, and get this shot down. Unfortunately, our helicopter has an interesting audio property to it, and if I don't mute that, then you get that pinging, and then that is what I've edited out here.
Okay, so let's see. We what do you want to call this on our font program here? We are headed to Casa Grande, and we got this is for those of you who are watching us around the world. This is about a 45 to 50-minute drive south of Phoenix, where there is a police situation underway here, all as a result over a suspicious package at a building kind of in the downtown part of Casa Grande. Smaller community, just off the I-10 freeway, actually pretty close to where the I-10 and the I-8 meet. And you can see in these live Skyfox pictures that they have brought in the robot to make certain that whatever the suspicious package is going to be disposed of properly and is nothing, in fact, truly sinister. And you can't take too many. You don't want to take any chances in a situation like this.
Yeah, and can I say, without making light of the situation, I always love it when the robots come out.
Well,
I'm a robot fan.
Well, we got a long way to go here in this country to catch up with the Japanese and their robots. But I mean, that's what we've got for robots right there. And actually, you think about it, boy, I'll tell you, these things are more technically advanced today than they were a few years ago, because frequently they'll even have cameras on them so that they can operate in what could be actually a pretty difficult urban environment. But we got wind of this, Jeff, probably 45 minutes or so ago and launched Skyfox. And when a story like this first kicks out that there's a suspicious package, you hope that they can give the stand down and the all clear ASAP. And particularly when a flight from the Metro Phoenix area down to downtown Casa Grande is going to take a while. You hope that over the course of the time that Skyfox is flying, they'll give the all clear. They did not. And we have been on scene now, I think, for a good 15 minutes or so, and can bring you these live pictures. As it's interesting because we see the robot, but beyond that, it's a little bit difficult to make out what else is going on here. Now, Skyfox is widening out for us for a second. There you go. Now you can see what they've done. So there's more of what you'd call the technical operations area. Obviously, the robot's operated by remote control. And so about a block away, as I say, not taking any chances, they want to be on the ground and get this thing resolved and make sure they're not dealing with an explosive device or anything of that nature. Now, people might, people who are part of our worldwide audience might say, well, why would there even be any concern in a small town, not even in a major urban area, but smaller community, roughly halfway between, say, Phoenix and Tucson? Well, there's a reason, I think, that the police want to take extremely cautious measures here, and that is that there was an actual explosive device found in this very community. I'm going to say about 2 years ago, that was left by a man who was arrested in this case at a Social Security office, at a government office. Now, this building, I'm told, is not a government office, but is actually quite near, or might be right next to, one of the public or private power supply companies that we have here, APS, Arizona Public Service. So what they've done is actually blocked off an area that is about a 1 block radius in each direction, and they've got the robot there on hand. I still can't see the actual device that they are concerned about, or I should say package that they're concerned about. It might be just sitting there somewhere in the parking lot a little further away before they actually.
And I haven't seen it either in any of the shots. And so I'm not clear, when we were getting started up here as this got underway. So I'm not sure exactly what they're looking at or kind of what's going on. It doesn't seem like they've stood down, but it also, doesn't seem like they're. I have no idea. That's a very empty parking lot, and that robot is just hanging out there. So
yeah.
Now, when was this incident that you mentioned? I'm not familiar with that.
I think I first got word of this just about 9:30. That we'd had the report of the suspicious package. Let me look at my notes here and see. It's going to be pretty close to 9:30, and this is sort of the southern reach of our what you would call our television area, our designated area, and then anything beyond that to the south, you're really more in the closer to Tucson and Tucson TV coverage. But we're going to go to Casa Grande. We go to Casa Grande quite frequently for stories that impact folks down there. And you can see Casa Grande Police Department. You start adding up all these vehicles. This is they're treating it with as I say, an extreme level of caution, and why not, considering that there was an actual explosive device, and not just left, but that went off at a federal government office a couple of years ago in that same Casa Grande area.
Now, were people, did they find it and in time, or was it?
No.
I mean, so it went off, but did it go off as part of the police activity, or did it go off, it surprised everyone? Were people injured? Do you remember anything more
I
on
think that, if I recall, it went off, he had just placed it there and it went off. It wasn't. There were no reports of anybody being seriously injured or anything along those lines, and they fairly quickly did make an arrest in that case.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just take it for granted that you know everything about the entire history of all things that have ever happened in Arizona, because you seem to. You're like, that stop sign was put up in 1992.
Well, yeah, it's a combination of. Okay, so look, they moved it a little bit there. All right, so the robot is actually going to come across the.
Looks like it. Now they have cameras on there, so they don't need to keep line of sight, so they can go around corners and, and everything else. Okay, I'm going to get us out of the way. So now I'm less clear where they're headed because I assumed it was around the front of that building. They were going to go around the corner.
And I thought it might be something back there in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's what over to the left is where I was thinking it was headed. So now I have no idea.
Right. One of the things that's surprising me a little bit is if, in fact, they've evacuated, as we've been told, a 1-block radius in this area around, for those of you who are watching us right now, down in Casa Grande. This is basically on 3rd Street between Marshall and Picacho. And you can see they've got that arm kind of in the cranked position right now. But anyway, there still appear to be a fair number of vehicles just right there, out there on the street.
We have both regular and police vehicles as well. I mean, there's you can't tell from this shot for anybody watching, but there were earlier we saw. Now it's on the move again. The robot's rolling back up to the building. Is there something on the sidewalk, perhaps?
I don't know. I kudos to Sky Fox here because the way they're flying around, they are able to give us a pretty good view. Now, unless they take that robot and make a turn up to the out onto the sidewalk, I do see something kind of a small black, some sort of square, small black item.
Over here in those shrubberies?
No, just right on the sidewalk.
Oh, I see it there, right up against the building.
Vehicles 1, 2, 3 going from left to right, and just to the right of the truck, looks like there's something right there. There's the robot.
Right.
And then just down the sidewalk, maybe 20 feet to the right, looked like there was something there on the sidewalk placed right up against the building. But whether or not that's the item that is causing the concern yet or not, we're just not quite clear. But we're going to keep following it here until we know that everything is going to be okay for folks in downtown Casa Grande. I don't know if this is one of those situations where sometimes Sky Fox can hear us and sometimes they can't. I think, oh no, all right, look. Do you see?
Almost looks like a shadow.
You know what? I think it is a shadow. I think you're right.
Something in the
see nothing there nothing at the front door.
I think Sky Fox. I think they're having the same conversation in the helicopter that we're having here. Like, what is it looking at?
Right.
So.
And he backed up, but now he's headed kind of back in that same direction. And so.
This is when part of me wonders if, like, the police, if somebody new is driving the robot and they don't know where it's going, and they're like, okay, turn it left, Bob, come on, go to the left a little bit here. So it's going back and forth because the guy's learning how to drive it. Yeah, being a little facetious here, but I want looking at this stuff, sometimes it's really difficult to figure out exactly what is happening.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean. In reality, you raise kind of an interesting point. I mean, only a limited number of people in law enforcement are going to have the specified type training.
No, to interrupt you here, but there's somebody, a police officer is out, and there's definitely an officer there. And
you think? I'm not so
I can
sure.
tell. Well, it looks like he's got a holster on, and it looked like a police hat, but I can't tell if he's looking at what they thought the package was or...
See, that wouldn't make sense, would it? I mean, if you get the robot, it's such a dicey situation. You got the robot handling it, and then a guy just wanders out into the parking lot. So, I don't know. Perhaps that's some sort of additional remote sensing device or something along those lines that might play a role in the, hopefully, the successful conclusion of this story that's unfolding just a little bit south of the Phoenix metro area where this suspicious package, somebody spotted it a while ago.
And obviously the police felt it was serious enough to gauge. Now that person took whatever it was he picked up out of the parking lot and took it all the way back to the sort of command post where these two trucks and several of the Casa Grande officers have been deployed. There were a few other vehicles that we saw as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if maybe that was something involved in the deployment of the robot. I mean, if they staged him on that far left side of the parking lot, or it, and then left from there. But
Yeah, so far. Yeah, so far we just haven't seen.
To your point, it seems weird if that was the package itself, that they'd have the robot drive around and then just have somebody just walk up and go, oh, here it is.
Correct. But then to your point, Jeff, I'm sure they've got people out there who are fully proficient, but at the same time, people do need to learn, additional people need to learn how to handle situations like this that I'm sure they train for. So, the odds are probably that somebody who's well-versed in it, having been through some training. We're not in Maricopa County now. This is down in Pinal County, but as it's within the city limits of Casa Grande, the CGPD, as they call them, the Casa Grande Police Department, is out there on this case.
So now we have that same individual, it appears, bringing something back to the spot. I have no idea what he had in his hand. It almost looked like
some sort of almost container or something.
This couldn't be a drill, could it? I mean, they wouldn't run a test in a parking lot like that, right? I mean, they'd have it cordoned off.
Yeah, and to close down. See, there's the APS sign. This is the one of the two major power supply companies here in the metro area. You've got APS and SRP, bunch of initials: Arizona Public Service and Salt River Project.
But I don't understand. I'm completely at a loss for what that thing could have been. That case,
yeah, I know.
that he put in the parking lot. And again, the robot has yet to move.
So one of the things I thought was, all right, so maybe he's, for whatever reason or however they do it, setting up a kind of a second staging area there if the robot, in fact, finds something that they need to detonate, but there's no way he would do that and put it anywhere close. They would find a more remote area. I mean, it's very close to a parked vehicle actually inside that parking lot.
Yeah, and that's a really good point right there. If that's a containment case and they're going to have the robot return it and deposit it in there. But I'm still baffled as to what the actual object is.
It is kind of eerie to see it just looks like a ghost town right now. This would normally be a lot of traffic kind of coming and going in this part of the city. Here's a better view. Good side view from Sky Fox for us right now as we continue to follow this unfolding story of a suspicious package and nobody really able to conduct any business. See, they've got that drive-through. This is one of those older facilities that APS has undoubtedly had set up for quite some time, and people are able to even come through the drive-through and get their bill paid or conduct whatever kind of business. But as of right now, and for really at least the last hour or so, they haven't been able to conduct any business because not just that building, but it looks like those across the street are not in operation either. We haven't seen a soul come or go in this area. And frankly, we haven't seen any vehicles coming up and doing U-turns, even in this area where the police have set up their staging and command center. So they may have additional officers stationed another block or two away, warning people.
There we go.
Yep.
See, now we can see in the lower left there the actual blockade, or where they have the street cordoned off. So what we were looking at earlier is just a much more, that's their actual command area. Now, the last time that we had a robot looking at a package, it was a lot more dramatic than this. It was, I want to say about a month or so ago, and it was a suitcase. And it zipped along the roads, and it went for about a block and a half, and then it picked it up and it twisted it over and flipped it, and then it went back all the way to the police, and they sent it back again, and it was very visual. It was very clear what they were looking at. It was very clear what they were trying to do. And it was very different from this particular case where we can see the robot. Again, if you're just joining us, this is in Casa Grande, Casa Grande.
No, it's interesting because you hear people say it in all different ways. So I remember this was a few years back, but I actually just picked up the phone one day and called the Chamber of Commerce there. I said, if you're living in that town, how do people pronounce it? And she said, it's Casa Grande.
All right.
But
So
you
Casa,
can give it,
not Casa.
you can give it any kind of a flair you want. But last time I called, and like I say, this was a ways back. She said, it's Casa Grande.
I love the fact that you would actually pick up the phone and call him, ask him.
Well, it had come up one day
thing.
here at the station, but it's like there's a palace in France called Versailles, and there's a town spelled the exact same way in Missouri, and you know how they pronounce it there? Versailles. So really you do have to go with I'm sure plenty of Frenchmen, are traveling across America and they look at the map and say, oh gosh, let's go to that French sounding town. And when you get there, everybody says, this is Versailles, not Versailles. So anyway, well, what we don't know at this point is who phoned in, who was it that first spotted whatever this suspicious package is, and actually, we're not still at this point sure where the package is.
Looks like the robot is on the move again.
Mm-hmm.
It's backing up. It's been in two places. It's been up against the building, and it's been right by that entrance into the driveway. You can kind of see it just left of center of your screen there. A real tiny dot. I'm sure Skyfox will get us in close again in a moment.
Actually, I kind of don't mind this wide view for a second, just because people are... if you're in that area, anywhere close by, maybe if you're not familiar with where the APS building is and you know where downtown is, you're trying to figure out, well, okay, which parts of downtown can I not get into right now? Because did he move up a little? Did he move back a little bit more there?
Yeah, he's moved further. He's just going back and forth along that line. Mm-hmm. I think this is the furthest we've seen him. I don't know why he's a him. I'm going to keep calling him that now. It's stuck in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's operating that arm too, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a camera, but if he's looking at something, I did not see anything up against the wall. Again, over on the left, you can see the container or object that one of the police officers brought out. And we're not sure what that is either. I guess my uninformed guess would be that is a... if there's a package that it would want to deposit in a safe container or something that might be blast proof. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't know what the officer would put out there sort of for the robot to use, because it hasn't approached it. It hasn't gone close to pick anything up from it.
Yeah, and it still makes sense that wherever the device is, it's a little ways away from where we are, because that officer walked right up to the parking lot, plopped that container down in the parking lot and then walked away. So I still think they're probably staging here to head, let's see, judging by where the sun is, I would guess we are looking like it would be heading north, but we can always go to Google Maps.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get a Google map here going.
Gosh, Jeff, thanks for bringing up the map. This is the thing that Sami and I are always talking about. She's like, Ron, I know you like maps. Let's go look at a map.
All right, now the key question is, can you help me find this?
Yeah. Well, I think if you just type in Arizona Public Service or even APS office, it probably will. Yeah. Okay. Or did it?
No. Clear it out. So we're working to bring up a map. The streets that we have
so
here.
Probably. Yeah, there you go. That's going to be it right there. Okay, so yeah, the streets are on an angle. So it looks like the street that's primarily being impacted is 3rd Street itself as you approach Marshall.
Okay.
I'll show you this map in just a second, so you guys watching will be able to get your bearings.
Make sure that with my luck, as what usually happens when I switch away from something is when something exciting goes on. So I want to make sure we keep an eye on the actual robot here while we take a look at the location. Oh, because here we got
some sort of a meeting going on.
Yeah,
possibly between police and...
And everybody in the chat room, we do see you there. We have been reading the comments, and love any thoughts you have on what's going on here. Appreciate you joining us as always. We have a couple topics queued up we're really looking forward to getting your feedback on, including some on Ms. Jodi Arias and the jurors and everything that went down yesterday. But for right now, this is a breaking news event, so we want to kind of stick with this. And there's a conference going on, head over to the, take a look at the map. So this is the location here of where we think this is actually going on, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you're actually, there's a good move. So you can see there that, as we had mentioned, 3rd Street from Picacho over to Marshall, the block off actually happens there at 2nd Street.
Yeah, so it's blocked off here.
Yep.
And it looks like it's blocked off all the way up here. So literally a block in every direction.
Yeah.
So this entire center area, this is the staging area where we were looking at a second ago. The robot is right here.
Now, if you widen out a click or two, Jeff, we'll just show them how this is. That's kind of that older downtown part of Casa Grande, and you've got the park that's a couple of blocks to the northeast, and then just beyond it is the kind of the main highway that would take you in from downtown over toward I-10. I know a lot of people travel up and down the 10 and eventually, use it to get down to Tucson.
Right.
And maybe spend some time at the outlet malls out there or some of the restaurants that are just off the 10. But if you just go a couple of 3 miles, you are right in the kind of in the heart of downtown Casa Grande. I don't know, you'd have to go all the way back to the days when they were first building this freeway to figure out kind of what the thinking was as to the locating of the actual alignment of the freeway, because it passes through that area but doesn't really touch any part of the downtown core. Would be out there in an area that at the time when they brought it through would have been considered, I think, somewhat remote to the main part of Casa Grande. But as so often happens, those freeways are built and then the growth sort of follows.
Changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Jane in the chat room said, since I assigned a gender to the robot, she is going to assign him emotions. So her theory is that the robot is scared. And I take exception to that. I think that these robots are the fearless defenders of our safety, and it is not scared. It's simply being cautious and concerned for everyone around them. Now,
so far we've only seen the Japanese versions of robots seem to have a certain level of emotion. I don't believe we have advanced as a society ourselves to the emotional component of robotics. But there's got to be some bravery in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, Samuel likes to bring me up here for tech news, and if we want to get into the humanity of robots and where that's headed, that's a fun topic. We should get you up here as well for that. But I think you have a meeting you have to get to.
Yes, I do.
Correct?
I'm just glancing. You're going to make sure I don't get in trouble. That's
yes, good. And don't break anything on your way out.
Yeah, really.
Including some of our viewers. So you go have a good meeting, sir.
All right.
And if you are able to join me on the flip side, would love to have you back.
All right. Sounds good, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right. So the wonderful, knowledgeable Mr. Ron Hoon is going to his morning meeting to recap things that have gone for him today. We're going to stick with this Skyfox aerial shot of a police situation in Casa Grande. And they have a 1-block radius. You can see here from this wider shot a number of vehicles. It's a command center right in the center of the screen. 2 different vehicles, trucks that seem to be supporting the robot. You have police cordoning off the road in several directions. Off the lower right, not visible right here. In this particular shot, there's yet another cordon to keep everyone out of this area. The robot itself, if you're just joining us, is in the parking lot, center of the screen, about a third of the way, quarter of the way from the left. A little tiny thing in there on this wide shot. And we have no idea what the package is or where it is that they are concerned about. And it's an interesting balance because the police are concerned enough to cordon off a rather large area, yet they're not so worried that they seem to be moving at any great speed. So whether that's out of caution or, just doing things one step at a time, I'm really not sure. But in the time that we have been with this robot here, close to half an hour, it's gone back and forth several times, and that's pretty much it. A member of the police brought another package. It's right behind the back of that white truck. It's just coming into view now, and set that in the parking lot. We don't know what that is. We have not seen the robot interact with it. The robot has flexed its arm there on the right, hello. Now we have a big view of Casa Grande going to the wider shot. Looks like the helicopter might be coming home, and yes, that is the case. So, all right. So Sky Fox is coming home, and sometimes it just needs to come back and refuel. Don't know exactly what happened there, but we will keep an eye on that and go back to it either if we get new aerials, we hear something is happening with the robot, or just flat out they stand down. So, all right, I'm going to go from that. I was hoping to have this chat about some of the Jodi Arias topics, but that would be much better with Ron. So I am going to wait for him to come back after his meeting and look at some of the other, packages up here. So, all right, let's see what everybody in the chat room is talking about. Yes, hello everyone. If I haven't said hi, Jeff and his robot show. I'd love to have a robot show. Wish I had a drone that I could use. Unfortunately, FCC restrictions don't let us use those. But for me to sit in here and fly a drone all around the city and get pictures for you would be a fantastic, fantastic day. All right. All right, so let me take a look and see some of the stories that we've got here. There's one that I'm looking for in particular that was pretty... Oh, yes. Okay. So this story, there's a show that airs on Fox called The Last Man on Earth. And let me get the Last Man on Earth had a contest, and they said, what would you like if you were the last man on Earth? And the premise is this guy is, or he believes he is at the beginning of the show, literally the last person alive. So he can drink all he wants, eat all he wants, do whatever he wants, and it doesn't matter. So the contest they had, if you watch the show, if you've seen it, heard pretty good things about it, let me know. But they had a contest, and they said, hey, what would you like as a prize if you were the last man on Earth? If you could have anything, what would it be? So we had a winner to that particular contest, and Corey McCloskey, the wonderful Corey McCloskey, went out and awarded that person his prize this morning. And this is, like I said, probably the most ridiculous prize that I could imagine somebody asking for, let alone winning. So, before we get into more serious topics like Ms. Arias and everything else, I thought I would share this. Corey McCloskey, and some people are already chiming in the chat room with what this guy won. So let's take a look if you missed it.
It is. Corey's out this morning to surprise a Levine man who entered a big contest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if he has any idea that we're out here. I mean, we've been sort of rustling around in the front of his house. His name's Nick Erdman, and this is where he lives. So we're in Levine, but Fox has been, of course, everyone loves the new show, Last Man on Earth with Will Forte. It's hilarious, and anyway, Nick is a fan. So Fox has said, hey, what would your dream be if you were the last man on Earth? I mean, I'm sure we could all fill in the blank. Let's see what Nick's idea was and see if we can help him out. Now, I'm getting that feeling, you know, like the Publishers Clearinghouse guy who's been doing it for years. Yeah. Still, you know, he's still silver-haired and looks fit. And oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Corey from Fox 10. Do you mind if we chat with you for just a second?
No, sure. Come on.
Oh, look at you. Who's this?
This is Jack.
Hi, Jack. And what is your name? Oh, you're Nana. Oh, Nana. And Jack's is he a Yorkie?
Yes, he is.
Is he a biter?
No, he's not. He's the most pleasant, wonderful dog in the
buddy.
world. Say hi.
Wow. Well, you may be familiar with Nick, young fella.
Nick is
Does
my
he live here?
grandson, yes.
Oh, is he? And how's that working out?
Oh, it's working out wonderful.
Seems like
I
a nice
love him.
boy.
Yeah.
Well, would you mind bringing him up to the door? Just go, Nicholas. Oh,
Okay.
Does he prefer Nicholas?
No, he prefers Nick.
I prefer Nicholas.
You know, you can't tell your Nana what to call you.
I know.
Nanas do whatever they want. I'm sure you're aware with that. We're going to keep Nick's door open here. Now, I don't know if Nick has any idea that his dreams are about to come true. Hey, Nick. How are you, buddy? I'm Corey from Fox 10.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, too. You're looking sharp. I love this shirt. It's one of my faves. Well, you're familiar with the show Last Man on Earth,
Yes.
right? Now, I guess you actually sent in your entry as to what you would like if you were the last man on Earth.
Yes, I would.
What was your idea?
I would fill up a pool with Fruity Pebbles and go take a dive.
Really? Yeah. Would you like to see your dream come true right now?
I would love
Let's
to.
do it. That's good. Come on out here, Nana. Bring Jake or Jack or whatever the dog's name is. Look here. Look what's happening.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Come on over
That's
here, my
hilarious.
friend. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened in your neighborhood. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Yeah. Come on down here with me. I'm a fan. And the good news is they are fresh. Yeah. Get a handful. Yeah. That's good.
Oh, that's funny.
No. Rolling back, huh? Mm-hmm. Pretty nice. This is Paul.
Hi, how are you?
This is Liz. Come on over here if you don't mind, Liz. Liz is the gal who made all of this come true for you.
Really? Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Liz, how does it all work? How does a guy like Nick Erdman end up with hundreds of thousands of Fruity Pebbles in a pool?
Well, at the beginning of The Last Man on Earth this season, we posed the question to our social media followers, if you were the last person on Earth, what would you wish for? And Nick was one of our lucky chosen ones, and we couldn't wait to surprise you with your pool of Fruity Pebbles.
And I know, what are the odds that it would happen on such a beautiful day like this?
I don't know.
Well, congratulations. Wow, look at the pile. It just keeps growing.
I think he has to jump
What do you
in.
think? What do you think the rest of your day is going to be like?
I have no clue. Fruity.
Fruity.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, and you just kneel down next to your prize there, Nick. We definitely want to record this for posterity. Nick Erdman, everyone, winner of our Last Man on Earth contest. Wow, when Fox blows it out, Liz, they blow it out big. Congratulations, Nick. Wave goodbye to all your friends.
That was about the most ridiculous thing that I think I'm likely to see today. So it was hysterical. Okay, first, where to start with this? First up, Corey McCloskey. The guy, you can put him anywhere, ask him to do anything, and he will handle it like a champ. The guy is absolutely fantastic. We're looking to get him up for a Q&A chat. We haven't had him on this show in a while. That is on our list. We'll bring the big guy up here and get him up there to talk, chat, answer your questions, and so on as well. 2, who thinks Fruity Pebbles and a giant pool as a kiddie pool as the thing that they would want at the end of the world when they're the last person around? Crazy request. And that kiddie pool was about 6 inches wide. There's a lot of Fruity Pebbles. I mean, it takes a lot of pebbles to fill up a pool, to be fair. But, wow, that was a tiny pool. And no milk. I love that when he puts the Fruity Pebbles in his mouth, he's chowing as they're asking him questions. And he's got that dry mouth as he's trying to eat the cereal to reply. So, congratulations to him. I have no idea how long he's going to be picking Fruity Pebbles out of his front yard. But I imagine the answers to that is going to be a long, long time. So, I hope you enjoyed that. We've got a couple other stories here that we want to hit. Oh. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. All right. Now, we've been talking about a lot of the new presidential candidates coming up. We had Marco Rubio announce his candidacy. Hillary Clinton announced her candidacy over the weekend. We've asked who you're looking forward to voting for or who you would like to see run. To me, regardless of who you root for or what political party you have, I don't know. To me, it's just crazy that this much is already going on, that we're talking about the presidential elections. I guess technically it's only a year and a half away, but it feels like a lot longer than that. I'm not ready for it. This is worse than Christmas decorations going up in March kind of business. So, but it has begun. And what we have now is a Arizona resident who has a license plate promoting Hillary in 2016. Let's take a look at that. Right here.
Wherever Mark Chatow goes in his car, he gets attention.
What's kind of been the reaction from people as you drive by?
That's a good question. Actually, it's been a mixed bag. I've had people give me thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm hitting the road to earn your vote.
But now that she's officially running, I think I'm going to be really seeing more reaction and both sides.
His Hillary 2016 license plate garnering some looks.
I actually got this about almost a year ago, and I just wanted to be ahead of the game.
Some people will get a bumper sticker or something like that to put on their car. Why did you decide to do the license plate, which is a little more permanent?
I did the license plate. I just think it's just more classier than a bumper sticker that would fade over the months, and it just looks better, classier.
Chatow says Clinton's beliefs align with his own, and he's willing to pay the $25 annual fee for the plate in hopes of spreading the message one car he passes at a time.
I just wanted to let people know in Arizona know that I'm for Hillary, and now that she's officially running, I don't regret it one bit, and I'm proud to be a supporter.
Well, he is dedicated. I have to give him that. So, a couple people have chimed in with who they would like to see for president in 2016. How do you feel about bumper stickers? And the guy had a Hillary t-shirt on, had a Hillary license plate. If he had a Hillary tattoo somewhere, I wouldn't be overly shocked. Me, I'm a big believer in voting. I vote in every election, but I don't put it on my car. I certainly don't put it on my license plate. It's interesting to me when people are not just that level of conviction, but are really making a permanent statement like that. It's not cheap to change your license plate. And to have had it for a year, he was really thinking ahead on preparing for that. So interesting, especially in Arizona, not necessarily the friendliest state to Democrats overall. So I have a feeling that in addition to thumbs up and thumbs down, he might be getting a few other gestures along the way as well. Do you have people in the chat room? Do you have political bumper stickers on your car? Would you consider getting a plate for one? I have a customized plate, but it's just for a goofy thing that I enjoy. It's not for politics. It seems like crossing the streams quite a bit there. And I wonder, again, like I said, I worry, I guess is probably even a better way to look at it, how bad this is going to be in another 9 months or a year. We're going to have, Obama's going to be out, right? And even though there's some people who think that he's going to try to go for a third term, it seems to come up every time a two-term president shows up. Somebody comes up with a crazy theory there's going to be martial law. That's not going to happen. So Obama's going to be done. I've got a hunch he's probably going to be more than ready to step out of that White House. You've seen the comparison pictures of him when he took office versus now. Regardless of what you think about his job, the man has aged. He has aged. Anyway, you're going to have Hillary, you have Clinton and a Bush in again. It's these two names, these two families coming back in again, along with all the other people who are jockeying for it. If it ended up being Clinton versus Bush, it would be really, I don't know, kind of an interesting case where it's almost like the U.S. is having these family dynasties, like the Kennedys or the Roosevelts, where you just have these so many politically minded people that they just keep pushing and pushing for office, and the last names on the ballot don't seem to change. All right, so let's take a look at what some people in the chat room are saying. Katrina says she does not believe in advertising political affiliation, just asking for trouble. That pretty much is the case. Dan in Florida, bumper stickers look trashy to me. Dan, what are your thoughts if you're out in Florida there? I know you're in Florida there. What are your thoughts on Jeb? Are you a fan there? Let's see. Not a lot of love. Sin Spice Girl way dislikes. Hillary. Dan in Florida won't even have dealer emblems on my car. Do you actually force the dealers to take them off? Do you just pry them up and patch off the paint? I'm curious to hear what you do there. Charlotte had to rewind watching about The Last Man on Earth and the Fruity Pebbles. Said you love the show. Good, I'm glad. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. I have not had a chance to watch it, unfortunately. And Jonathan says he'd love to see a Clinton versus Bush debate. I would have to agree that would be interesting to see. I think both of them are very accomplished debaters in their own way, and it would be an interesting match. All right. Some comments there. Okay. Let's hit a couple more stories. Looks like Ron is out of his meeting, so hopefully he'll join us, because I do have a Jodi Arias topic that I would like to get to that I'm sure will get a lot of people in the chat room heated up. In the meantime, we have this has been a topic in the Valley lately that has driven a lot of people absolutely crazy, and that's bees. Bees. They are everywhere. ASU, I think, issued 10 here in the Valley, 10 different alerts to the students on campus about bees in the area. I know in our area of the Valley, kind of northeast Phoenix, we've had several alerts where big swarms of bees have been spotted. We've had hikers and dogs attacked by bees. There are a ton of them up and around the Valley. So yesterday, Jill Monier, who you can follow at Jill Monier Fox 10, she's become a big fan of Periscope, which we've spoken of quite a few times here. And she'll Periscope a lot of her stories, so make sure you're following her on Twitter, Jill Monier Fox 10. But let's take a look at her package last night and talk about bees.
You did? They haven't sent video over.
Taking over a Buckeye backyard near Rainbow and MC 85.
Friday it was probably about half the size of that, and when we came out here to dig, and it looks like it's probably doubled in size.
Terry Graybaugh says his daughter first discovered the beehive while swimming with friends.
Then I heard this buzzing sound and I looked up, and then I saw a beehive.
She's going, Dad, there's something in the tree and there's bees around. And so we looked up there and saw this pretty big hive, so it was time to clear the kids out of the pool and get the heck out of there.
Have you ever seen a beehive before?
No.
What'd you think of that?
Kind of cool.
Anybody in your family allergic to bees?
Not that I know of. So
we don't want to find out, do we?
We don't want to find out, do we?
Okay.
Yeah, no.
That video ended a bit early on me there. where Jill got stung and taken out, but no, just a little bit of blackness at the end of the video. So I was hoping to get some clips that I saw yesterday when she was doing the story. They had the guy come out to, I think, remove the bees, and he was not wearing a bee suit. He was just covered in bees, and I'm not afraid of bees. I really don't have a desire to be around a lot of bees at that volume. That is a whole lot of possibility for danger there. So I've been lucky, knock on wood, I haven't found a hive in my house, or worse yet, wasps. I do know somebody who had some wasps in his place, and between the two, bees versus wasps, I will take bees absolutely any day. They do a lot for our crops. They're usually pretty mellow unless you antagonize them, but wasps are just really mean creatures. Bees will sting you to defend themselves. Wasps will sting them just because they don't like your hair. When, for me, that's a problem. Wasps are just mean critters and can do a lot of damage. So if you've had a bee experience, let me know. If you are afraid of them or don't care or love bees, I have a friend who is wow, so Rachel says her stepdad's brother had 10 years worth of active beehives in the wall of their house. I can't imagine, A, what that was like to discover. Let me back that up. How do you not know that? I would think some night I would be sitting at home and turn off the TV and I'd hear bzzz. Somewhere before 10 years had passed, I would notice that there are a ton of bees in the wall. If you've got more information on that story, I'd love to hear it, because again, I would think 10 years, you'd notice a lot of bees living in the walls of my house. But then it has to be extremely expensive to get that out of there. And I don't even think you're going to get good honey out of it. So, yeah. I would love to know more about how somebody had bees living in their walls for 10 years. Let's see what we have coming up next here. All right, so we talked about a little bit of politics. I was hoping Ron would be able to join us. He has gone somewhere. Let's see if he circles back around. I'll take one more package here. This is a little bit of a political one. I'd love to know what people think in the chat room. This is around marijuana. So medical marijuana is legal in the state of Arizona. However, it is not legal on ASU campus. You can have marijuana anywhere else except there. So it's a modification that was made to the rule, and it put a ASU student who uses medical marijuana in a bit of a bind. Here he has this product that's legal for him to use, except in the place where he actually goes to school and lives. So let's take a look at this particular situation and what happened with him. And I would like to get your thoughts on marijuana. I know this has come up before. Should it be legal? Should there be limitations on it? And then also, let me know what you think about the other issue here, and that's lawmakers who change laws that voters have passed.
For years, 19-year-old Andre Maestas popped Tylenol, trying to ease the pain of a displaced vertebrae. When pills no longer killed his pain, this ASU sophomore turned to medical marijuana.
Did not have the same negative effects on my body. It's more natural and a lot easier, and definitely takes away the symptoms.
Now, instead of fighting pain, Andre is fighting the state. Last March, Andre was charged with a felony after ASU police found less than an ounce of marijuana in his dorm room. A 2012 amendment to the Arizona Medical Marijuana Act bans the possession of marijuana on campus. But Andre's attorney, Tom Dean, says that amendment is unconstitutional.
It does not further the purpose of the Medical Marijuana Act, which is to protect, not expose, but to protect patients from criminal and other penalties.
Dean's argument is this. Under the Voter Protection Act, any change to a voter-passed law, including the Medical Marijuana Act, must further the purpose of the original act. Dean says the 2012 amendment doesn't do that. The county attorney's office disagrees. In a memo to the Arizona Supreme Court, Maricopa County Attorney William Montgomery says the amendment simply adds colleges to a list of school facilities where medical marijuana is already banned. Although Andre couldn't get his case dismissed at trial or appeal court, he's confident the Supreme Court will rule in his favor.
If somebody needs medical marijuana to go throughout their day, they definitely have that right, and that right to go seek higher education.
So interesting story here. We got somebody who medically needs marijuana, something that was approved and legal to manage his pain, and is in trouble because of a modification to the law that lawmakers made independent of voters. So really, there's a whole lot of complex situations here. So reading some of the comments in the chat room, it sounds like most people here are in favor of medical marijuana, if not outright legalization. Jonathan Blinn says, I think it should be illegal altogether and get inmates out of jail that have been out there for marijuana possession charges. Katrina Fletcher, I think they put too much money into banning something that is not dangerous. Jane Wilcox says it's a natural herb and it beats alcohol. Rachel, I'm all for medical uses, recreation. I don't know, because I'm a mom. Just say no. Fair enough. Jay Deering, cigarettes are more addictive drug than pot. Look at the weak-minded people that can't stop smoking even though they know it will kill them. So it sounds like overall people support the legalization of marijuana, well, for medical purposes, if not outright for just recreational purposes. But the other issue that's interesting to me is when voters pass a law. And as somebody noted here, let's see, who was it? Yep, Jane. We voted medical for medical. Bleh. We voted on medical marijuana 4 times and it passed. Leave it alone. Well, that's the other interesting piece here, to me, even more so than medical marijuana, because when you get someone or a proposition that is passed by the voters, and then the legislature decides, you know what, we're going to change that up somehow. We're going to improve it, make it safer, or just get involved in general. Should there be limits on that? Can they just outright change things so much that they gut the original intent of the law? Now, as you heard here, they believe that this is not, or that the change was in line with the original spirit of the law. It's simply adding more. So I just got an update here on that robot and the package that we're looking at earlier. So I will give you that update here in a second. But when the legislature goes and changes things like that, what limitations do they have in place? And it can end up in a very expensive, very slow game of ping pong between voters and the legislature as things go back and forth and laws get modified and changed. So what do you think? Do you think the legislatures need the ability to enact whatever laws they think are best for the public? Or do you think there should be limitations on those based on what the original intent of the law was? And then what happens if there's a law that's passed that makes it through, as happens sometimes, that is just flat out not a very good idea? There's another bill here. I don't think I have a package on it here, but a topic in Arizona that's causing a lot of debate is a ban on banning plastic bags. So several cities were looking at putting out a ban on plastic bags at grocery stores, paper or plastic. Plastic bags, they take a long time to biodegrade. They tend to pile up. They end up just clogging all kinds of places. They end up blowing around in the wind. They're a huge trash hazard. There is a patch of garbage the size of Texas swirling around in the Pacific Ocean that has a huge portion of plastic in it, including a lot of plastic bags that can be hazardous to marine life. And there's a lot of reasons that some people do not like plastic grocery bags. So places in Arizona, cities were looking at possibly banning them so that you had to use reusable bags, bring your own bags when you went grocery shopping, or use paper. And the state enacted a ban on the bans. I'm not sure I've ever heard of a ban on bans. It said you cannot ban plastic bags. Now, is that actually helpful, or is that, again, getting into, what voters or local governments want to do, and it's just improper meddling on behalf of the legislature? It's an interesting balance. And while you're typing in some responses to that, if you have them, we got an update from the Casa Grande police. DPS identified that item as an ultrasonic measurement device. The scene has been reopened. There is no threat to the public, and thank you for your assistance. Again, that is a tweet from the Casa Grande Police Department. That was the scene that we were looking at earlier with the little robot, and we couldn't figure out exactly what the issue was. So, all right, hearing what was coming in over the squawk box here, and not something we're going to be able to take. So, all right. So people are saying about pot. Jane doesn't think pot is as addictive as pot is addictive at all. Divuseful. Sometimes I'm never sure whether to try to pronounce the names in the chat or spell them out. So if it's DV useful, Jay, both can be addictive. I just think pot is less harmful. I just quit smoking cigarettes 4 months ago, but still smoke weed. It's hard to quit both at the same time. Quitting anything like that is very difficult. And I know several people who have quit cigarettes, and some who have gotten back to smoking again. So good luck with quitting if that is what you choose to do. Rachel says every time she hears the squawk box, I keep thinking the fries are done. So it does sound like that sometimes. So for those of you who haven't heard that before, so I sit in a newsroom here, and it's a big open space, and there's a box that goes off and lets us know when there is news coming in from one of our satellite feeds, and it might be something that I want to take. So, all right, Izzy Guy, Florida, Tampa. What do I do with the garbage without plastic grocery bags? Well, presumably you have paper bags or some other way to actually dispose of your garbage. Jonathan, they have reusable bags you can purchase at the grocery store, so I say buy those and ban paper and plastic bags altogether. There are a lot of people who would love to see that happen. And apparently it's deviousful. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. Good debate here going on over the legalization of marijuana. Not much on the actual editing of the laws, which maybe that's just me as a little bit of a political nerd, but I do enjoy that and always find it interesting when the legislature just says, hey, this is a law that people wanted, so we're going to go ahead and go along with it, versus making changes and editing it along the way. So, since Spice Girl, I use my plastic bags for dog refuse pickup. We do some of that as well. They can be pretty handy, although I have one of my many useless superpowers, and I have a lot, is if I actually pick up a plastic bag and use it to go pick up after my dogs, it is guaranteed there will be a hole in that bag. And I don't know how, I can look beforehand, but once I actually get up there, there will be a hole in the bag, and that's how it rolls for me. All right, so the topic that I wanted to chat, let's get back to Jodi Arias here. And this is going to be, I think, a heated one. And I'd really like to hear what you think on both sides, because I find this topic, let's see here. I find this topic fascinating. So I've been in TV for about 18 months, and I joined after Jodi Arias, the case broke, and she was actually already convicted by this point. So not only just learning about the case, but seeing how passionate everyone was about it was just crazy to me. absolutely blew my mind that people had been following it as long as they had, cared as much as they did. And it was witnessed yesterday. Okay? We carried the sentencing live, and it's on our YouTube channel. If you missed it, you want to go back and rewatch it. We had over 12,000 people in the chat room at once. It was whizzing by. It was fantastic. It was a little bit overwhelming at times, but it was great to see that going on. If you haven't done so, download, or if you're new to this, download our app from both the iTunes and Android stores, from the Google Play Store. Fox 10 Phoenix is the name of it. And you'll get an alert every time we go live. We do this normally twice a day, 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Arizona time, bringing you a combination of stories and breaking news and discussions. So you can also follow us on Fox 10 News Now on Twitter. So yesterday we went live and had 12,000 people. Over the course of the day yesterday, we had 100,000 playbacks on that video. People joining at different times, people popping in and out. That is crazy. That is the size of a small city, 100,000, maybe a decent sized city. So I watch all that. I see how passionate people get, and it's interesting how challenging it can be to, or when a discussion comes up, what polarizes people. So, example, I'd never heard Jodi's mom speak before, so I had no idea what she was going to say or kind of where she fit into this long-running narrative on Arias. As soon as she came up to speak during the sentencing, the chat room went bananas, the people outside the courthouse went bananas, people were booing, they were mad, and again, I understand the passion around the case. It was just interesting to me because I was just, as having a little bit more distance, wondering what she had to say. I mean, anything else that happened and the horrible crimes that Jodi committed, this is still a mother talking about her daughter. And there's something in there that, you know, is very compelling and is very, it's a strong connection that I wanted to hear more about. So, the other topic that came up, and the one I want to address, were the jurors in the courtroom, and they wore blue. So devious full. Was it worth watching? It was pretty compelling. The members of Travis Alexander's family, Jodi spoke, her mom spoke. There were several people on both sides. There was a lot of very engaging moments. I would recommend go check it out, watch it, and there's a lot of different things, from a baby crying at a strange moment to just some of the comments that were made, Jodi's fog lifting and actually commenting on slitting Travis Alexander's throat. So there was a lot there. But my question then is, the jurors who wore blue. So we had here, we got a bit of a clip that I'm going to go ahead and play. And a number of the jurors showed up, right, and were wearing blue in the courtroom. Let me mute the audio here. It's more what they were wearing. And this has become a color that symbolizes the support for Travis's family. I understand, if I understand this right, please let me know. I am new to some of this. That was one of his favorite colors, blue and purple. There were blue balloons that were released yesterday as well into the sky as sort of a remembrance. And a number of the jurors, of course not juror 17, showed up wearing blue. And people were even making comments that, the cell that she's going to be going to in Perryville likely has a lot of blue in it. So blue is very, very tightly tied to support for the Travis Alexander family. So was it appropriate for the jurors to wear blue? And I'm not saying one way or another, but it's an interesting question to me, because so here's the argument. So bear with me for a second here. note here on get a Hillary Clinton tour possibly going on that I might want to cut to. Okay, so my first thought when I heard this is, hey, you know what? The jurors served their time on the jury, right? They voted, they made their decision, and now their time is done. Their work is done. This was a sentencing by the judge, right? It wasn't the jurors were released. They're back on their own. They're citizens. They're civilians. They can wear whatever they want. So that was my initial thought. Now, a big discussion in the newsroom broke out and said, well, but still, this sentencing was part of the work that they were assigned to do. And them showing up, right, they weren't given the right to speak. They didn't actually get up and talk, but they were influencing or showing their support or their inclination in this, when really, to the first point, they weren't involved in this anymore. You know, should they have stayed? You know, they cast their vote. I think it was 11-1 in favor of death, but because of the holdout, that didn't happen. So should they have stayed quiet until the sentencing was complete, which, you know, was the process that they were a part of. It's an interesting topic. You know, I think I've never heard of a case where jurors were this tied up in a case. I mean, Juror 17 getting outed, getting death threats, having to have police protect her. You know, the way the jurors have spoken out in this particular case and the focus around them. It's really interesting. You know, the few times that I've been called for jury duty, it's never been, you know, it's sort of been looking at the judging the guilt or innocence or making a decision about a particular case, right? Versus coming back out and then showing up on their own time to come back down and sort of get outside of that particular judgment and basically offer their own form of commentary and support in the courtroom. It was just really, really interesting to me, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in the middle on it. I think my inclination tends to be, hey, they were done being jurors. They can do whatever they want, talk about whatever they want, wear whatever they want. But this whole case has blurred the lines between, you know, how people look at the jurors and either hold them accountable or scrutinize their reactions. For example, I think it was incredibly inappropriate and just flat out criminal for there to be death threats against Juror 17. Whether you agree or disagree with what happened there, you know, a lot of the consensus is, hey, you know, Juan Martinez and his team could have looked at the record that her ex was, you know, involved here, and had her removed, and that just didn't happen. And that it wasn't that she came in and was maliciously, you know, deceitful from the beginning. There were a lot of dropped balls here, and it's not entirely her fault. But even if it was her fault, you leave that to the criminal justice system to sort out. Having people call and, you know, having to put police outside her home is just a crazy crossing of the lines here. And if we want our our justice system to function, then you have to have a willingness for jurors to serve. And if jurors are going to be afraid because they're going to get drawn into these things personally, and it's hard enough to get jurors for trials like this. So the line between what jurors do, how they're pulled to, I'm sorry, look at this other feed we have here, is just blurring more and more. You know, if I was pulled for a case like this, you know, and like I said, I came very close to actually serving on the jury for one of the other women currently on death row, and I was looking at it as just doing my duty. Right, that's just what happens. I didn't want to. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, but I'd have done it. Now, if something like this happened, I'd probably give serious thought to how I can get out of it. All right, I'm going to take a look here. Bear with me for a second on. Looks like there could be a round table here with Hillary Clinton, but I do not see Hillary there, so I'm going to keep an eye on this particular feed. So, any other thoughts? Sounds like everybody is okay with the jurors wearing blue. It was a very clear show of support, no doubt about that, but just one of the topics that was being discussed here in the newsroom this morning. Earlier we showed Jodi Arias going to Perryville. That happened very shortly after the sentencing yesterday, so she is now in her cell there. And that's what people are saying in the chat room. Jay says they were released from jury duty by the judge. They have no reason now not to show their real feelings. That was okay by the judge. Katrina does not agree with the death threats. That is unacceptable. Completely agree with you there. Katrina, though, makes an interesting point. To be the devil's advocate, though, they were released. If they were no longer impartial, should they have sat in the jury box? Interesting point. You know, distinguishing themselves as jurors and being in the juror box, you know, sort of one way or the other. If they're still considering themselves jurors in this case, maybe they should have just sat with anyone else. But Jane says they no longer had to be impartial. It was quite appropriate. And he said, yeah, the chat yesterday had to log off because it was doing my mind in. It was a bit crazy. The band hammer flew quite a few times. And I like it when we get people like that in. I love the discussion that results. I hope we get a few more regular people out of it, but it can be pretty tricky to maintain. So, Katrina says both sides are wrong. The Travis Alexander side harassed and did some pretty bad things. The supporters and the Jodi Arias side. Oh, you're talking about one of the support sites for Jodi Arias. So. Somebody's here in the newsroom is messaging me and saying that the understanding is that the former jurors sat in the jury box to make room for more citizens to get into the sentencing, which would make sense as well. Again, not a huge thing by any means, but just an interesting point for seeing jurors coming back around like that after the trial and being engaged so vividly, not just to be there and show support, but specifically selecting their wardrobe appropriately. All right, we have a Hillary Clinton touring the Jones County Regional Center in Monticello, Iowa. No idea where that is. We'll go to that live when that happens. Meanwhile, I'll queue up another package here for you. Right, here's what I was hoping to get some information on, but looks like we weren't able to get a live picture on. This is a sweet story. Get a little bit better taste in your mouth than Ms. Arias. Dogs. I'm a big dog lover. Love the fuzzy little things. And this is a story that I think came out last week originally of a boxer and a Chihuahua who are best buddies, and they found a new home. And we have, I think Andrew Hasbin is out looking at this story and look at the family that is going to be taking these two little pups in, because if there is a there's a dog story out there that seems to go right in Mr. Andrew Hasbin's domain. But right now, let's take a look at a piece they did this morning on this adorable little pair of pups who are best friends, and we're hoping to find a home together.
Thirteen after 9 o'clock. Look at this.
Is this not the cutest picture ever?
Yeah.
Right?
Two dogs have been inseparable, are being adopted today.
They are. The picture of the boxer and Chihuahua snuggled together. It went viral today. Both animals are getting a new home.
And there's two women right now that are inseparable.
Celeste and Melissa Gable.
Melissa Gable and Celeste.
That's right. Good morning, you guys. Yeah, 11 a.m. Take a look at these two right here. Isn't this just completely adorable? Little Miss, pooched up on top of Buster. Buster's so serious. Little Miss is loving it. And look at those ears. I just love the way they kind of perk up. They're so cute. Melissa, they're going home at 11 a.m. today, right?
They are. We've got an adopter coming from Orange, California. Sorry. It's about a 5 or 6 hour drive, so she left at 5 a.m. She's got dog beds in her vehicle. She's so excited. So we're really hoping that they will leave around 11 this morning.
What an amazing story this has been, kind of the journey for these two. You spotted them out. They were strays, came in here under your guys' care, and they just had this very unique relationship from the beginning.
Yes, very attached. Now, obviously, we don't know their story because they came in as strays, so we don't know if they grew up together and were separated, but when we first put them on Facebook, our goal was to try and find their family. And the photos just went crazy and was shared, 4,000 times, and everyone was trying to find a family, and unfortunately, no one stepped forward.
And so eventually someone came forward, this gal from California, and said, I have this 1 acre property and I already have a dog of my own, and I would love to add to the family.
Correct. So we decided we were going to go ahead and put them up for adoption. This gal is a wonderful woman. She reached out to me before they were even available, contacted me multiple times a day, sent photos of her house. So it's like, here's my house, here's my yard, here's my other dog. So they're going to go to a wonderful, wonderful home.
And so at 11 a.m. they'll leave, and then, it's probably going to be a sad day for you too.
It is. I would look out my office window because they were in the kennel across from my office, and I would look out and just see her sitting on his back, and then we'd go out and give him treats and stuff, and they were in my office on Sunday, and so yeah, it's gonna be sad, but you know what, we want to see them out of the shelter and in a home, and I really do feel like it's a good home, and that always makes it better when you're excited because they're going someplace that's wonderful.
Awesome. Amazing work, Melissa. Thank you. And guys, I want to give you, as photographer Tommy Fergus is here, is taking a knee, I'm going to see if Little Miss has been making this little like noise. Let's see if she'll make it real quick. Can you make it? Look at her running from the microphone. A little camera shy at this time, but she's making this cute little sound when she comes up to Buster, and just look how calm he is. It really is a pretty neat story, and a happy ending to what could have been pretty bad for these two pooches. So we're happy to see them find a great home. 11 a.m. they'll go home, guys.
Celeste, I have a question really quick. Did the doctor that's adopting them, did she find out about them because their picture was viral on Facebook and the internet? Is that how she contacted them?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah,
really cool.
She saw the video the picture go viral on online. Absolutely.
Wow. Love that. Okay.
Great story.
Thank you.
Tell Melissa we said hello.
Yeah.
That's great.
Melissa, Rick, and Andrea say hello.
We love Melissa Gable.
So that was adorable. Again, I'm a big unabashed dog lover. That was so cute. That story is also on our Facebook page. If you want to go there, you can go to facebook.com/Fox10Phoenix. If you don't like us there, well, you should. That hurts my feelings a little bit. Assuming you're on Facebook. I know some of you in the chat room are not, but if you are, we post a lot of different stories there. We try to make it a mix of breaking news, fun stuff, just interesting and engaging stories, and that's one of the places that we talked about this story to find those two pups a home. And it just, I mean, that could be like a buddy movie, the big serious boxer and the cute little Chihuahua, you know, causing all the trouble, and the big boxers to come in and bail him out. Adorable. I'm kind of surprised that they found a home in California. I'm sure there were a lot of people here in Arizona who would have been more than willing to adopt them, but that's the way it works sometimes. While I'm at it, again, if you haven't already, download our mobile app. You know, if you're like, is that guy talking about that again? Well, you know what? Just go download it. It's super easy. You can go to fox10phoenix.com/mobile, and you'll have links there to download it in a bunch of different places, and then you'll always get an alert when we go live. Again, my name is Jeff Moriarty, and I am filling in for Samia Khan, who is off today. We'll only be having one show today, unfortunately. I have some other work that I need to do this afternoon, so we will not be having an afternoon show. So for those of you who are saying we keep you from being productive, you have an afternoon to catch up on all the things. So hopefully Samia comes back tomorrow morning and we can return you to informed but unproductive state of mind. All right. So I'm still watching this feed here to see if Hillary Clinton is showing up at this round table. And what we were seeing, I'm going to go to this anyway because this kind of stuff just entertains me to no end. Let's pull this up here. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a bunch of students and teachers in Kirkwood Community College. The Jones County Regional Center, all right? And this is in Monticello, Iowa. So they're waiting for Hillary to come through and tour the place. And you can see from the camera here, you've got a bunch of students and teachers, and they've been in my screen here of all these. If you see the monitor behind me, all the different windows, I have two monitors up here in front of me that have kind of that same setup. So I can see what's going on in a lot of different feeds, some satellite feeds, and see when things are coming in. And as near as I can tell, these people have been sitting here for an hour. Now, I don't know if Hillary's late. I don't know if they just need to get there in advance because there's a lot of security around this stuff. I can't imagine being stuck on camera, filmed like this, waiting for someone like Hillary Clinton to show up. Again, whether you like her or not, you know, there's something like that happens, there's going to be a lot of security and effort and limitations in what you can do. So it's not like they can go hang out. So I had no idea what this scene even was for a long time until someone else in the newsroom notified me. So if Hillary shows up, and I guess they're just going to put her down at the end of those tables, then we might go to this as a good round table to hear her thoughts on education and so on as she starts pushing for her 2016 presidential bid. Anyway, all right, we've got a couple other packages here that we can run. So yes, we will not have a afternoon show, but I've got a bunch of other packages that we can go through here. Let's see. All right, since we talk dogs, I'm going to go with another story here that is animal related. Oh, this is adorable too. Okay, well, it is to me anyway. What I am now looking at is a gigantic nose. And this story is titled Artistic Goat. And I don't know much more about it than that, other than if I get a story titled this cop says, "Poor Jeff, I have the gift of gab." So yep, sometimes I do. But as someone else noted earlier, you know, compared to yesterday, it's not a huge news day. You know, yesterday we had Jodi Arias dominating the news. Some days we get a lot, some days we don't. I am actually quite happy hanging out with you guys, chatting about stories and talking about things like dogs and artistic goats. So let's take a look at this particular story right now.
My face and stuff.
Are you claiming it as yours? Is that what
Are you ready? We gotta line you up. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that goat was standing there painting, and it was good. It was pretty with all the pictures, and it was different colors. And try some red? You want to try some? Take a breath. Keep going. To see a goat actually hold a paintbrush in his mouth and paint, and he has some accuracy with it and some talent, yeah, that's unique. We don't want them to get fat, so just giving them food is not the only option. So getting them to use their brains and to figure things out just keeps them happier and healthier. Get a hold of it.
Well, that's not exactly what I was expecting. It was literally an artistic goat. He's more talented than I am, which is a little depressing. He's also, I think, probably cuter than I am, but, you know, I like goats too, as some people said in the chat room. Melissa Ward, a few people talking about the SpaceX launch that I tried to do, or tried to host you through yesterday, and then they canceled it as soon as I came and sat down. That's the way it goes for me sometimes. I know it's been rescheduled for today. I'm hoping to watch that. I'm not sure I'll be on the air when it happens. I think that's happening about 1 o'clock Arizona time. Something literally this just handed to me via a wonderful person on our web team here. It is free ice cream cone day at Ben & Jerry's. There's 36th annual free cone day. If you have a Ben & Jerry's location near you, you can stop in and get a free ice cream cone. Had a big debate the other day with someone over their favorite flavor of ice cream. Can't count vanilla because that's what people say, and that's easy. So if you got a free ice cream cone, I would love to hear what your favorite flavor is. I like butter pecan, but not in an ice cream cone. I like that. If I'm a butter pecan, I want that like in a sundae. If I've got a cone, probably mint chocolate chip. I like me some mint chocolate chip. It's getting the ice cream weather here in Arizona, no doubt about it. All right, a little bit grimmer, and some of these things are just a little tricky because we get the story, and I don't know all the. Oh, we have apparently Hillary Clinton joining us here. Let me bring that up and take a look at what's going on. All right, we're going to go to Hillary Clinton and her tour, or her roundtable, with educators in Iowa.
For all the great opportunities that you've heard here and more. We're happy to have you here. Welcome to Monticello and Perryville.
Thank you.
She also introduced Barack when he was on that campus.
Oh, that's good. That's the good luck omen.
Yeah.
I'm Drew Mollenhauer, and I'm a junior at Central City. I'm currently taking the auto tech and biotech programs here. They've been amazing. I've had a great time. It gives you a taste of the college experience. And I plan to go on and do something with engineering after I get out of high school. So.
Great. Good. Thanks, Drew.
And I'm Bethany Moore. I'm what they call a non-traditional college student. I'm taking business administration management, and I also am doing the continuing ed program here at Kirkwood.
That's great. Well, first, I want to thank you, Mick, for having me here and a few of my friends in the college. And I just had a terrific tour of the advanced manufacturing laboratory and got to talk with the instructor and 4 of the students, all of whom are high school students, who are doing what you have described as the great opportunity to mix your high school years with college learning and college credits as you move forward. And I am really pleased to be at a community college that is so visionary and effective in trying to serve as a bridge for people who are non-traditional, but coming back to add to their skills, all the way to high school students who are taking advantage of the opportunities. And the cooperation between the college and the high school is something I want to see a lot more of. This is a real model for how we can provide more continuous learning starting in high school, but going as far as necessary to help better prepare not only young people, but all people for the economy that is awaiting us. And before we get started, because I want to hear from each of you, I want a little more information about what you see as the challenges that you face in your education, both as students and as educators, and the opportunities that you hope to be able to take advantage of. I just want to tell you a little bit about why I'm here today. I think we all know that Americans have come back from some pretty tough economic times. And our economy and our country are much better off because American families have basically done whatever it took to make it work. But I think it's fair to say that as you look across the country, the deck is still stacked in favor of those already at the top. And there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong when CEOs make 300 times more than the typical worker. There's something wrong when American workers keep getting more productive as they have, and as I just saw a few minutes ago, is very possible because of education and skills training, but that productivity is not matched in their paychecks. And there's something wrong when hedge fund managers pay lower tax rates than nurses or the truckers that I saw on I-80 as I was driving here over the last 2 days. And there's something wrong when students and their families have to go deeply into debt to be able to get the education and skills they need in order to make the best of their own lives. And I looked at the figures. The average Iowa graduate from a four-year college comes out with nearly $30,000 in debt. And that's, I think, the 9th highest debt load in the country. And people are struggling. I met earlier today with a young student who is piecing together work and loans, knowing full well he's going to come out owing a lot of money. So we've got to figure out in our country how to get back on the right track. And I'm running for president because I think that Americans and their families need a champion. And I want to be that champion. I want to stand up and fight for people so that they can not just get by, but they can get ahead, and they can stay ahead. And a lot of people in the last few days have asked me, well, you know, why do you want to do this, and what motivates you? And I've thought a lot about it, and I guess the short answer is I've been fighting for children and families my entire adult life, probably because of my mother's example. She had a really difficult childhood, was mistreated, neglected, but she never gave up. She had to basically be on her own at the time she was 14, and she just kept going. And my father, who was a small businessman and just believed that you had to work hard to make your way and do whatever you had to do to be successful, and provided a good living for our family. And then I was thinking too about, you know, the lessons I learned from my church. You know, you're supposed to give back. You're supposed to do what you can to help others. And that's what I've tried to do. And we'll have more time to talk about that as we go forward. When I got out of law school, I worked for the Children's Defense Fund, and one of the projects there was literally going door to door. This was back in the 70s when kids with disabilities were basically shut out of our schools. And thanks to your great former senator, Tom Harkin, that's no longer the case. But I was knocking on doors saying, is there anybody school age not in school? And finding blind kids and deaf kids and kids in wheelchairs who were just left out. And I was able in Arkansas to work to try to improve education there and give more kids chances who really deserved them. And then as First Lady to fight for health care reform and keep fighting till we got health care insurance for kids. And then as Senator, dealing with the problems that faced New York after 9/11 and trying to help people get whatever they needed, the victims' families, the first responders, and it was an incredible honor to do that. And then as Secretary of State, standing up for our country. So when I look at where we are as a country, I'm just so absolutely convinced that there isn't anybody anywhere who can outcompete us, who has better values, who can do more to provide more people the chance to live up to their own God-given potential. But we can't take that for granted. And so I want to be the champion who goes to bat for Americans in 4 big areas, 4 big fights that I think we have to take on, because there are those who don't agree with what I think we should be doing, and they're pretty powerful forces. We need to build the economy of tomorrow, not yesterday. We need to strengthen families and communities, because that's where it all starts. We need to fix our dysfunctional political system and get unaccountable money out of it once and for all, even if that takes a constitutional amendment. And we need to protect our country from the threats that we see and the ones that are on the horizon. So I'm here in Iowa to begin a conversation about how we do that, and to hear from people about what's on your minds, what the challenges you see are. And I'm going to work hard to meet as many people. I'll be rolling out ideas and policies about what I think will work, but I want it to be informed by what's actually working, and to build on what works going forward, and to stand up against those who have a different vision of our country, a different one that I grew up with, and a different one that I think is best for everybody. So with that, what I'd love to do is just ask a few questions and hear from folks about what their experiences have been, and try to learn what you think would be ways of helping more young people get the kind of education they need without having the personal bank be broken and put you and your family at financial risk. And Andrew, if I could start with you, you're going to the Naval Academy. That's a great opportunity. And it's also one of the few higher educations of such high quality that is free. The young men and women that are recruited into our military academies are given just a world-class education. Can you maybe describe a little bit more to me about what you learned in the infotech and the biotech classes that you took, and how you think that's helped you with taking this next step, going to the Naval Academy?
Yeah, our first day in infotech, we went over into the lab, and we have all the computers in the lab. Everyone was assigned their own, and they said, all right, you'll find this screw on the back that'll remove the panel. Now take everything out of your computer, put everything back in your computer. And it was, it's very, very hands-on. It wasn't sitting behind the computer learning how to go through this and that. It wasn't reading through a lab book. It wasn't taking notes. It was physically doing what you would do in the infotech field. And so we do a lot of stuff with like tech support type fields, because that's what a lot of the kids going into the Infotech Academy look for, is something with IT or software design. And so, it's taught me the kind of things I would do if I got a career in that field. And then same thing with biotech. I probably am not going to do too much with biology, but I took it because of the engineering background that comes with biotech. And anytime we do any experiment, we get our lab notebooks, we write down, once we were doing things with yeast reactions, and you take notes of everything you change in any way, shape, or form with that. And then, it prepares me for the kind of engineering I'll work with, being in a lab situation scenario, and I guess the kind of things I'll see at the academy. I mean, and while there's a big difference between community college to public to private, I mean, there's no drop off in quality at all. I mean, I'm still getting the kind of skills that I would get and will get at the academy or any other school I would go to.
Well, you sound like you're going to be very well prepared for what will be a rigorous curriculum that is going to demand a lot out of you. I've got young friends who are either former or current midshipmen, and I know how challenging the study is, but you feel like this has given you the hands-on, literally hands-on experience that you can then transfer. And if I could, Jason, explain the idea behind how the high schools coordinate with the community colleges, because part of the reason I'm here is because this is a real model. I mean, it's not by accident that I ended up at Kirkwood in Monticello, because we've looked for those models, really lifelong learning and connecting up high schools with community colleges, with four-year colleges and other programs. Give me a sense of your experience with that.
Well, if you have a couple of hours.
I do.
No, really, the partnership, the way it works is when Kirkwood kind of approached some of the schools that were already part of it, and like there's 8 schools around here. The largest one is still a very rural, small school. Our particular school is one of the smallest ones. We graduate about 35, 40 kids in a graduating class, which can give you an idea. And the biggest ones are, Monticello is around how many kids in a graduating class? 100? Maybe around there. So pretty small. When you look at it, we each looked at each other like, how do we have a multi-million-dollar advanced manufacturing lab in our school? I can't do it.
That's right.
I just can't do it. So where do we send them? Well, we can't put a kid in a car and drive to Cedar Rapids, which is close enough for us compared to others. What they did is they started having a conversation. At the end of the day, Kirkwood partnership with the schools, and basically we commit to sending kids, each of the 8 schools, which sends a certain amount of dollars, and then they commit on their end, and together we work collaboratively. We have monthly meetings, we share information about kids, and you talk about rigor. I mean, one thing that's great is, like, I would love to offer as many things at our school as we possibly can in rigorous coursework. I just don't have the resources to add 15 new teachers and 15 new programs, but here, collectively, we can. And you think about it, that's a perfect model. I mean, I love this model, and our kids do, and at the end of the day, the reason is because it gives our kids more options. And it also is like stuff that, you have kind of the 4-year career kids that, look at Comp 1, Comp 2, speech, psych, some of those rigorous coursework that can help them save money and get them ready for 4-year. Also kind of a segue, you're in college but you're not, and if you struggle, I can still have one-on-one conversations with you and your parents and say, hey, let's get through this so that when we cut the cord, they're prepared and ready. You don't just throw them out there and hope, I hope they make it. Then the other side of it is the advanced manufacturing, the auto tech, things like that, where kids are really directed towards a career. And the conversations we have with individual kids, they really get a focus of what they want to do, and we help them do that. And now they have the resources to do that.
And the confidence.
Absolutely.
The confidence is so important.
And we help instill that. They do at Kirkwood, and then they get done, and this might launch to, okay, I'm now CNA certified. So now I can be a CNA, make X number of dollars, and now I want to go on to be a 4-year, RN nurse. Or, you do advanced manufacturing, you get certified in certain things, you might go, I'm good, I can get a job now. And the kids, it's free for the kids. And
that's what I was going to ask you, Jason. So if you're enrolled in one of the local high schools, it's free.
Yep. And the state of Iowa helps support some of that too. Iowa does a great job of supporting our community colleges and that work. They call it PSEO, post-secondary enrollment options. And it's really a great opportunity, and our kids really do a good job. And when they're here, they raise each other to another level, and they're around other like-minded kids that are ready to excel. I mean, this kid's going to the Naval Academy. Are you kidding me? I love that my kids get to be around that. And we have that every once in a while, but at Central City, you might have that once every 10 years. Collectively, we're going to have all kinds of kids like that. So it also, like, think about, like, socially, emotionally, the kids get to know each other. They learn from each other, not just in the education piece, but like now they kind of like know what it's like to be in college. You see someone, how it was when you went to college, you meet kids from other schools.
I was so
for the
scared.
First time.
Yeah, I mean, really, I did. I called home, said I want to come home. Right? Called collect in those days.
We understand that. The thing that's great is, like, we're still there, counselors, principals, are there to like be that middleman. Because like I'm an example of like, I got, the cord was cut for me. I'm off to college, and I had a rough start. I was in and out, and I didn't have the support system. So it's a nice segue into college to where kids don't accumulate debt. They learn how to manage their time with, us helping. And then also some of them they get a career out of this. It's not just going off to college. They go off and get a job. So I'm a huge fan of what we're doing here, and I really think that not only across the state of Iowa, across the United States in rural areas, when you're trying to increase that rigor in rural areas without being able to hire 10 new teachers to teach extra physics and extra all that, this is a great model of that.
Well, amen. I mean, I really believe that. And Drew, tell me about your experience, because you're still in high school. You've got another year to go, right?
Yep.
So how did you end up here? Did you hear about it? Did a counselor tell you about it?
Well, we have meetings, and we had kids go before we did, so they come back and they share, and like Kirkwood's so fun. You get to do, so many different classes and get to kind of experience the college feel while you also are going to high school. So being able to come here and participate in all the hands-on stuff. I'm in the Auto Tech Academy, so everything in here we work with.
So we're in your classroom? Yep.
So we get to do everything hands-on. I mean, the first day of class, we were out working on cars and experiencing everything. So it was really great to actually get out and do the stuff and not just have to learn about it for weeks on end, and then finally maybe get to go do some of the stuff hands-on. So so it's been great.
And is your experience doing the work on auto similar to what I heard in the advanced manufacturing? You have to learn a lot of math and understand the computers, and they were talking to me about computerized numeric control, and trying to really use their math skills and upgrade them so that they can deal with all of the computerization?
Yeah, I mean, cars are controlled by computers now, so we do a ton of work with scan tools and computers, so that's all hands-on, and that's really valuable skills to know, to be certified in if you want to go into the automotive field. And
that's our instructor right there. Yep. Raise your hand.
How long have you been teaching here?
This is my 6th year ago still.
Great.
And this is 6 years old.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, that's one of the other things that I really like about this coordinated, cooperative model, because young people who might be in high school, if they can get hands-on and feel like they're doing something that they love, that motivates them in many instances to actually learn the math or learn the composition, learn the skills that will help them. At least that's been, what I've seen happen in lots of different places.
I'll give you a little background.
Yeah, Mick, go ahead, please.
Okay. Just for everybody's benefit, this was started 6 years ago. This was our first one. We had such great success because if you think about the partnerships we formed with business, with the steel people in this, and especially in this area, but throughout our whole 7-county service area. So this was the first one. It proved so successful that we actually went out for a bond issue and asked the 7-county area to approve dollars to build more of these. And so this is the first one. The second one's in Iowa, Cedar Rapids. The third one is in Washington, Iowa. And the fourth one will be the first in the nation, where a community college builds on a 4-year campus. And so it's a great partnership. This year, we're going to serve over 5,000 high schoolers. Now, you have to think about those high schoolers. Some of them are the first generation.
That's right.
And so they get a chance, just like these folks have been talking about, to experience something different than the high school, maybe at a different level, because that's what we're all about at Kirkwood, is being an opportunity system, not only for our college-age students, but also for our K-12 partners. And they have widely supported it. Well, 5,000. Not only do they come to our 4 centers, well, eventually 4, but we also send our faculty into the high schools. And so they get what's called dual credit. Last year alone, if you talk about if they came to Kirkwood, which is more economical than going to a 4-year, those parents will save $3.25 million just for last year in tuition. If they came to to Kirkwood. If they came to Iowa, just double the number because their tuition's about twice as high, and then triple it if you go to a private. So it really gets them, and like Ellen will have, she'll have a year and a half under, and if you talk about student debt, that will lower the student debt. But more than that, it really gives them experience. One of the best pictures that we have for here is on a Friday. All the students, we have cookouts and stuff. They all come dressed in their football uniforms and their volleyball and also cheerleading and everything, and we take a picture. So that night they're going to go compete on the field, but here they're learning together, and they're in a collaborative partnership. And I think they've really grown, and I've had an opportunity to interact with them also. But another thing that we really think sets ours apart is a lot of our CTE courses are nationally certified, NIM certificates. So when they leave here, they'll have a NIM certificate. I just talked to a young man down in Washington. He's a senior. He's going to graduate with a NIM certificate in welding. He's had 5 job offers, and he's going to go out and make $40,000 his first year out of high school. Now, we hope they come back and go through our whole program, but it's quite an opportunity. So it's really, like this land was donated by a business person, the same down in Washington, so we get a lot of community support. And
But you get the community, it's sort of reinforcing. You get the community support because you provide the services, and people, parents, business, members of the community, they can see the results.
Exactly.
And we've got to rebuild that connection again, because in too many places, there's been kind of a lack of appreciation of the importance of investing in education at all levels, and then being creative, as you have been, about how we provide more opportunities. And I did want to ask you, Ellen, when did you start taking courses here?
I started my sophomore year. I took an online course, and it's called a PSEO, post-secondary enrollment option. And then I actually started taking the Kirkwood Academy. It's Arts and Sciences 1, but I actually don't take the main course. I take it at the high school, but I get dual credit, so I'll get high school English credit, and I will also get college credit too.
So you will have 48 college credits when you graduate from high school.
Yeah, yep. Because I'm also taking an online class right now, and then I'll take a course out here in the summer, and I also took one last summer.
Now, are there many other students doing what you're doing among your friends or classmates?
Yeah, there's a lot of my classmates that are in the Kirkwood Academy with me, but there's not a lot of people that will do like summer courses on top of that, and also online classes, because this year now at our school we started where we can take Kirkwood and a PSEO. So a PSEO, that's the online Kirkwood class, so I can get a lot more credits.
And you're still doing your high school courses, or these substitute for your high school courses?
Well, the English credit is kind of different. It's the composition 1 and 2 class at Kirkwood, so you get college credit and then you get high school English credit. Usually, if you would take a Kirkwood class, you would get an elective credit. So it wouldn't, you would have to take your English classes and stuff at the high school. So it helps a lot to get the dual credit.
So what's next for you with all these credits?
Well, I plan on going to Mount Mercy after this, and I think I'm going to major in business, but I'll have 2 years done almost. I'll almost have an associate's degree. So
that's terrific. So then you'll only have to pay for 2 years of 4-year college.
Yeah, it helps.
That's a big help.
It's a big deal. Yeah, Kirkwood has really, in Monticello High School, the partnership has really provided me with a lot of opportunities, and I was really fortunate to be a part of that.
Well, you're a walking advertisement for how important this option is. And Diane, as an instructor, how do you see the benefits of these kinds of blended programs, and what issues have you seen arise? How would you make them even better?
That's a great question. Jason mentioned many of the positives that come out of the classroom. I think probably the best thing that I see is, although I understand the premise of No Child Left Behind, I do feel as if by focusing so much on making sure that everyone is proficient, we sometimes don't stretch the higher achievers. And that's where Kirkwood has been fantastic. It has offered programs for students like Ellen who excel in high school, who need an extra challenge. And sometimes it's not just the challenge in English or in speech, but in the CTE areas. And so I think that's been a gap that this program has helped fill.
That's a really important point because, I've been involved in education reform for a long time, not in recent years in an active way, but certainly as a very interested observer. And I do agree with you that we have to do more to open up our education system so that we are meeting individual students where they are and where they could be with the right motivation, the different opportunities for learning, the hands-on, for example. And I think we do have to have accountability measures, but not at the expense of the individualized learning that needs to go on. And so how we do that in this gigantic country of ours, you can see how it can work on a sort of school-by-school basis and the partnerships between Monticello and Kirkwood. And I'm looking for those really good ideas so that we can try to go further and provide them to more people with perhaps not the exposure that your students have had. So you have taught, I think, how many years?
21.
21, and predominantly in high school?
Correct.
How would you characterize your students today from the students you taught when you first started as a teacher?
Oh, another very good question right there. I think our students are bolder today. I think that they are more willing to take risks. I think they're also more apprehensive about their future. 20 years ago, I think a set number of students believed, all right, I'm going to go to college, and another set said, I am very content getting a job, working on the family farm, that's what I'd like to do. And we've seen a shift in education where there's a lot more pressure if we want to go on and pursue an education. And a lot of that has come from, the reports of financial gain. We see all these charts about, well, with a high school education, this is how much money you're going to make. And with a 2-year degree and with a 4-year degree, this is how your outlook can change. I think students see that and they're like, if I want to live this American dream, I've got to go to college. And so I think that now our students feel that pressure to go to college. And I think it's a positive pressure that they want to challenge themselves to do more. And I think that they're also becoming very aware that these jobs where once they were able, 20 years ago when they were able to leave high school and get, but they don't have all that training that they need. And I do think that that's another gap that Kirkwood helps fill, is some of that training so they can leave.
Mm-hmm. I would piggyback on what Diane said. One thing I see is, because I've been doing this for about 15, 16 years, and what I've seen is, you're exactly right, except one thing that's different is kids have to be more precise about what their choices are, because I think if you go back 20 years ago, you're looking at jobs were plentiful. The economy was great.
I remember.
You remember that? There was someone that was helping lead us through that.
Yeah,
you might know. And what I'd say is that it was kind of easy to go get a 4-year degree. I hate to say that, but easier to go get a 4-year degree. And now you're talking about college loan and debt and all that. That's what I spend a considerable amount of time with my counselor and families, being precise and focused on what we're doing to save them money.
Right.
So that she can make that decision to get 48 credits for the right reason, and then find out where she wants to go. And now, Ellen's like, man, I've got to get this credit because this gets me to Mount Mercy. Well, what happens when you're a junior and you don't know where you're going?
Right.
So now you have to be more precise, because we're having the conversation in 8th and 9th grade that they used to have when you were a senior. So I think the pressure is you have to be precise, because you don't just get up, you have to find out where you're going. And that's good because, rooms like this get them nationally certified. Mm-hmm. But then we have to do a better job at school with administration, counselors, and teachers of getting kids through that process and thinking about it.
Well, and that's another thing Kirkwood does, which I wanted to ask Mick to just explain. As I understand it, you do a lot of financial counseling for the students here, a lot of outreach to help them. Like, you start in high school, but a lot of people are still not going to know exactly what they want to do, and they end up at the community college, and then they need continuing help, right?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
As you think about the value of a community college, there's a couple that come to mind. One is we're at lower cost. So a student that doesn't have a clue about what they want to be when they can grow up, they can come in and start. And that's the advantage really of all of our centers, is they can come in as a sophomore if they want, or a junior, and they can think about nursing. Well, they find out they don't like blood. Well, okay, I'm going to try something else. And so there's a lot of those opportunities. But probably the best thing that this does is, as you think about what we're delivering, and we're really focused in on those middle skill jobs, which are plentiful out there, where there's not enough people to take those jobs. And so a lot of our academies focus right in on those, and we have over 20 academies. And so you can do pre-dental, pre-engineering, CNA, I mean, you name it, we've got it. And so there's a lot of opportunities for students to choose from, and you can see they've all done something a little different. And that's the value of having an opportunity system as you look at it. But it's that great partnership that we have with the K-12s. There's 32 K-12s in our service area. Every one of them is involved in our concurrent enrollment, which really gives an advantage there. But we do one thing in 8th grade. We bring in every 8th grader and do a financial literacy day through what's called our workplace learning connection. So that's I won't go into what that is.
Yeah,
but
that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, but they actually come in for a day, and they've got what they want to be when they grow up. And everybody has to do that at the end of 8th grade. You've got to have a plan. And I have a plan is what it's called. And
that starts the discussion you were talking about being precise. This is what you say you want to do, then what do you have to do to be able to do it? That is so important. But you also, I mean, look, I think that there are a lot of families who are just as confused and apprehensive as their kids are. I mean, what does this mean, and how do you do it, and how do I even talk to my kid about it? So the school and the college are helping to support whatever the conversation is going on inside the family. And Bethany, tell me about your coming to school, and what did you do before, and how did you make the decision, and anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I worked for close to 10 years in Homeland Security, and I decided on a career change. So I decided to come to Kirkwood. I'm a single mother of 3 kids. There's no way I could afford anything other than Kirkwood. I was allowed to work the work-study program here, and I was also granted Pell Grants, which have helped me tremendously through this. Being a parent of a high school student that's getting ready to come to Kirkwood next year, I've learned so much being here to help her get through the rest of it, because college has become more of a necessity than it ever has before, I think. In order to, which is why I came back to Kirkwood, because I wanted to be proficient in a skill that I could use in a broad variety of ways, which business administration does that for me.
And does the work program and the Pell Grant pay for it, or do you have additional costs?
So far, it's paid for it. I'm getting to a point where I may have to take out loans, which I'm trying to avoid at this point, because I don't want a large debt when I'm done. When I'm done with Kirkwood, I would like to continue on to a 4-year degree, which, I mean...
If that's what you want to do, that's a great goal. And, I fully support President Obama's plan to make community college free. But even if we were successful in making the costs directly associated with going to college free, there are all these other costs that people have to figure out a way to pay. And so we've got to look at this from the perspective of the actual student and the student's family. What can you afford? What amount of debt are you willing to take on? But how do we make sure that it's affordable for you and that it can be paid back based on your income, so that you don't get pushed into an absolutely untenable financial situation right out of school when you're just trying to get started. But then there are all these other costs of, whether it's, books or online materials, whatever you need to be able to actually go to the courses. And some people have told me that becomes a bigger problem. that, like a Pell Grant covers, in many instances, most, if not all, of the community college cost. But a lot of students are working or they're single parents and they have all these other expenses that they don't have any help trying to pay. So how have you thought about that?
Well, that's where the work study has come in for me, because it's allowed me the opportunity to also make money while I'm going to school. You know, it's not enough to raise my family on, obviously, but eventually it will be. You know, I'll get there.
Well, I think that, you know, looking at education, I mean, it truly does remain not only the best pathway, although not everybody has to do it exactly the same way. Getting these national certifications that enable you to go out of high school and make $40,000 because you're a metal worker or an auto worker or whatever it might be. But still, getting those skills, getting that education, and in many instances getting the credential is really important in today's global economy. We just have to get back to making it affordable and open for everybody willing to work for it. In many parts of the country now, we have the costs are so high. In some of the for-profit schools, some of the scandals that have arisen in these places where they take all this money and put all these young people and their families into debt. Even if they graduate, they don't have credentials that are going to get them those jobs, or they can't graduate because the other costs are just too great and they can't continue to incur debt. So they drop out, but they still have the debt and they don't have the degree or the credential. So we've got to sort this out, and we have to take on those interests that want to keep the system the way it is because it generates a lot of money and a lot of interest payments for them, and instead get back to basics. Like, how do we have, I love your phrase, Mick, an opportunity system. Now, I think we have to start that in pre-kindergarten. I think we have to give more kids the chance to get ready. In fact, I think we have to start it at the very beginning, where you have to realize you're growing your baby's brain by talking, reading, and singing to that baby. And, you know, my poor granddaughter, her first words are going to be, "Stop it, I can't bear it anymore." But we know that literally neurons are firing and connections are being made, and by the time a child gets to kindergarten, you know, much of their vocabulary has been formed, a lot of their brain development has occurred. So we need an opportunity system literally from birth through lifelong adult learning. And we should be embracing that and coming up with the best ways to create the kind of partnerships that you have here in more places, and kind of flush out the bad actors who are taking advantage of students and not really providing much in return, and really lift up, you know, the good actors like Kirkwood. Yeah, but you've been in this field for a long time. How do you see all of this, Mick?
Well, let me comment. Besides what we do during the day, then we offer, we had over 1,000 students take continuing ed. So when you talk about lifelong learning, there's a lot of opportunity for everybody to keep their brain active, I guess is how I'd call it. But I've been in education for a long time, 46 years. This is my 46th year. And I've always thought is that we're not doing enough to provide those opportunity systems. Not everybody is going to fit into that same mold, and we need to have different pathways that each one of these students has taken. And we need to provide that, and we need to provide that in the most economical way possible. And so when you think partnerships and you think collaboration, that's how we're going to get it done. We did, and we do that on a statewide basis. We got one of the TAA CCCT grants for $13.5 million in the state of Iowa to focus in on advanced manufacturing. So all 15 community colleges in Iowa were focusing in on that. So when you put the power of all that together, I think you can really make a difference. And the presidents of the community colleges in Iowa, we've put together a proposal that we've just started to put down the road that would make it possible to have what we have here, and DMAC has some, and there are a couple others in the state, but to put this opportunity in the entire state. So it doesn't matter if you're in Cedar Rapids or you're in Monticello or if you're in Timbuktu up in the north part of the state, you would have the opportunity to take one of these, some of the courses through the career academies. And so we're slowly moving that ahead. being deliberate about it, but I think that's what it's all about, and we all have to work together. We can't let boundaries define us.
Well, you are really singing my song here, because I think we need a new vision, of a new paradigm of how we're going to do education that can get people excited again, instead of what in too many places has become a pitched battle with a lot of arguments based on ideology instead of results. There's been an enormous amount of research done in education, and there's some really good data about what works, and I think we should be focusing on that. And the models, the partnerships, the results are what I hope will guide us as we look at the role the federal government should play. Because there is a role for the federal government, but the real work has to be done at the local level, starting in families, then in schools, then in community colleges, four-year colleges. And I really believe that the country is ripe for that kind of conversation, because I think there's a lot of frustration. You mentioned No Child Left Behind. There were a lot of goals that were important there, but I think we've learned what works and what doesn't work so well, and we ought to focus on the former more than the latter and try to figure out how we take a system that has so much potential and has produced so many positive outcomes for so many millions of people, and just get down to really sorting out how we work together instead of arguing about education, how we work together, get everybody who's acting in good faith around the table, and try to sort it out. Because it's clear to me that when you look at community colleges, those are a uniquely American invention. That's why I'm really starting here, because if you talk about American education and American innovation and creating jobs, community colleges is something that nobody else in the world did. Now, I've spent years telling people around the world, look at our community colleges, but a lot of people still haven't caught on to the secret. So until they do, let's do more to make sure that community college is available and affordable and in partnership. I am thrilled to be starting this campaign in Iowa, going out, listening to people and learning from all of you what works, what you're concerned about, what the problems are, but also, what's exciting about the future, and then putting it all together so that we can be really focused on how we respect each other again, trust each other again, listen to each other again, work with each other again, sort of leave the ideology and the partisanship at the door, and come in and just say, look, here are the goals we should have. An opportunity system, I'm going to steal that, Mick, an opportunity system for all of our people, starting before they go into formal school, all the way through in the education arena, and then in all the other areas that really matter to middle-class families that know that this is the route forward for them and for their kids. So I'm really grateful that you all would take time out to spend with me. And I want to give anybody a chance to say any last-minute concern or issue. Andrew, anything? Since you're going to the Naval Academy, how do you see our security and some of the issues around your service?
Well, I visited for about a week last summer, and after meeting with a lot of the midshipmen there I met with some that had just finished their first year, talked with a couple that had just finished their last and were about to go out, and the future for the military is bright. I haven't seen a lot of it yet, but I'll get plenty of that in the next 4 years. And
ready to serve your country?
Yes, more than ready. Have been for a while.
Good for you. And what about you, Ellen, as you think about your future?
Well, one thing that comes to mind with me, it doesn't particularly affect me, but my sister has a disability, and so in school it's harder sometimes for her to grasp concepts that the other children grasp more easily. And so I was just wondering, what were your policies that you have for children with disabilities,
right,
and to help improve that education? Because I think that it would be beneficial for her if she had an opportunity in the summer to continue her education, so when she came back to school she didn't just have to start over again, so she can continue to rise.
That's a really important point, because for many students, there's research that have difficulties learning, whether it's because of disabilities or other circumstances in their lives. They lose a lot of the ground that they gained during the school year, because during the summer they don't have the constant stimulation, education that would give them the chance to keep learning and keep building. I think that we should do much more to realize the promise that, again, Tom Harkin was a champion of, to make sure that people, but particularly young people with disabilities, have the learning opportunities that they need. In an opportunity society, not everybody learns the same way or at the same pace. There are students who learn with their hands. There are students who learn by, listening. There are students who need a relationship with a teacher, others who do it online. We've got to start sorting this out. And for students with disabilities, we want them to have a place in society that gives them satisfaction and provides an opportunity, or even to make a living or to make a contribution. So I would like to see us explore more ways that we can use the existing systems to provide, whether it's at a community college or a four-year college or a local school district that other people come from other districts to be part of, so that kids with disabilities have that one-on-one continuing support that so many of them need, like your sister.
Right.
Yeah. I'd like to see that. Diane, what do you think? What other points would you like to make?
I think that we are very blessed to live where we do, where education, starting, very young, through high school, this community college, we have all these opportunities, and we're so fortunate here. And I worry that not all of America gets to experience this treasure that we have. And I think the Common Core is a wonderful step in the right direction of improving American education. And it's painful to see that attacked.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, what can you do to bring that heart back to education in the United States? What can we do so that parents and community and businesses believe in American education, and that teachers are respected, and our schools are respected, and our colleges are respected, and we offer a quality education to all Americans, throughout the United States.
Wow, that is really a powerful, touching comment that I absolutely embrace. When I think about the really unfortunate argument that's been going on around Common Core, it's very painful because the Common Core started off as a bipartisan effort. It was actually nonpartisan. It wasn't politicized. It was to try to come up with a core of learning that we might expect students to achieve across our country, no matter what kind of school district they were in, no matter how poor their family was, that there wouldn't be two tiers of education. Everybody would be looking at what was to be learned and doing their best to try to achieve that. Now, I think part of the reason why Iowa may be more understanding of this is you've had the Iowa Core for years. You've had a system plus the Iowa assessment tests. I mean, I think I'm right in saying that I took those when I was in elementary school, right? The Iowa, tests. So that Iowa has had a testing system based on a core curriculum for a really long time. And you see the value of it. You understand why that helps you organize your whole education system. And a lot of states, unfortunately, haven't had that. And so don't understand the value of a core, in this sense, a common core, that then, yes, of course, you can, figure out the best way in your community to try to reach. But your question is really a larger one. How did we end up at a point where we are so negative about
the most important non-family enterprise in the raising of the next generation, which is how our kids are educated. And there are a lot of explanations for that, I suppose, but whatever they are, we need to try to get back into a broad conversation where people will actually listen to each other again and try to come up with solutions for problems, because the problems here in Monticello are not the same problems that you'll find in the inner city of our biggest, urban areas. That's a given. We have to do things differently, but it should all be driven by the same commitment to try to make sure we do educate every child. That's why, I was a senator and voted for, Leave No Child Behind, because I thought every child should matter. And shouldn't be, you're poor or you've got disabilities, so we're going to sweep you to the back. Don't show up on test day because we don't want to mess up our scores. No, every child should have the same opportunity. And so I think we've got to get back to basics. And we have to look to teachers to lead the way on that. I mean, you're the ones who have 21, 15, 46 years of experience.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you make a very important observation about what we need to be doing and what I hope I can do in this campaign and as president. So, Bethany.
Well, I'm kind of wondering what the government can do, or what the schools can do to help people like myself, single mothers that are struggling to better themselves and better their families. What kind of advantages can they help with?
Well, I want to tell you about a program I started when I lived in Arkansas and when I was teaching at the University of Arkansas. And I got to know a lot of the students who were single parents, predominantly women, not all, but mostly, and who were trying to raise their families, work, and go to school. And it was really difficult. So I started something called the Arkansas Single Parent Scholarship Fund. And we raised money first in the county where I lived and where the university was. And now it's a statewide program in Arkansas. And people, give money to supplement the needs of single parents. It's what I was talking about earlier. If you're a single parent, you've got an old clunky car and it breaks down and it can't be fixed, where are you going to get the money to buy a new car? Or maybe get it towed here, Drew, so you can try to fix it. Either way, right? Or you have childcare and your childcare falls apart. The person who you've trusted to look after your kids while you go to school is moving or no longer are getting a different job. Where does the money for that come from? So this single parent scholarship fund that I started all those years ago provides these kinds of emergency financial assistance packages for people. And I think the last time I checked, it's helped 35,000 single parents go to college, either community and get their associate's degree, 4-year, get their bachelor's. And it's really been a lifesaver because for so many people, you kind of are on your own. You're trying to do this and manage it, and it's not easy. So I would like to see that, that kind of program available in every state. And it's all donations. It's everybody just contributes because they want to help. And every county runs their own version of that.
Even with employers, I mean, if you could go out and get a full-time job and still go to school, if employers were willing to work around your school schedule rather than say, well, no, your hours are 9 to 5 or 3 to 11 or whatever. If they were willing to help you out in some way like that, it would be such an advantage to people like myself.
And it would also create more loyalty among employees.
It would.
And I will be rolling out a lot of different policies about how to help families balance work and their family responsibilities. But business also has to step up because I think many businesses, I'm not going to say all, but many businesses could be more flexible and more understanding and more supportive of the stresses that are on modern families today. So I think we should try to incentivize some of those behaviors so that businesses, get some support for doing an approach that might be different than the one they would prefer, because it's easier if you just come at 9 and you leave at 5, or you come at 3 and you leave at 11. And one of the big challenges we're facing right now is that in a lot of places, there's no predictability for schedule at all. So put yourself in the position you're in now, raising your 3 kids, doing your work, going to school, and suppose you're working at a place that calls you up the night before and says, I don't need you tomorrow, don't show up.
Right.
So you don't get paid. Or they call you up and they say, I want you to come on tomorrow and the next day from 3 to 11. And you say, well, but I have a class at 6. Well, too bad, you have to show up. So people are finally saying, wait a minute, that's not right. There should be some predictability in your employment, and there should be some flexibility on the side of your employer. So I think we have to really address that and try to find ways to bring that about.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Drew.
I'd just like to comment on how great this program's been, because it allows you to really experience different career fields. And if you take one, you're like, I like that. But if you take a different one, you're like, wow, this is so much better. You can eliminate your options and kind of find out what you want to go to and actually spend the money to go to school for. Along with all the job shadows and internships, it just really gives you a sense of what's out there, and it gives you a chance to actually get hands-on experience and really get a good education on what there is, as well as the programs themselves for the education from the program.
So it's really been a big plus for you. You really feel like it's helped you not only learn skills, but kind of have a better idea of what you want to do in the future.
Yep.
Good for you. Jason?
We actually had that conversation on the way over here. He's one of my students. On the drive over, we were talking about that. I guess I don't have a question here. I guess I just have kind of some statements and requests. We're really happy to have you at Iowa. In Iowa, I know Iowans are pretty pragmatic, proud people that really, I have to use the best word I can, is like, we're just regular people. And we really appreciate that you came here. I mean, your first stop, that's pretty cool. And coming to Kirkwood is huge. And I guess one request that I'd have for you as you start campaigning and moving around is remember, like, this kid right here and these guys. Because at the end of the day, if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, no one's ever done that job. So, when you look around, people go, I don't really understand that. In education, everyone's been in school. So everyone kind of feels like they know what education should be. That's good, and it's also problematic when you're trying to make change. One thing I hope that you focus on, not only here in Iowa, but around the country, is like education is really, I believe, the key to everything we do. And you think about it, you're a teacher. When you went to other countries and talked to them about what's going on, you're teaching them about what's going on here. You're not in a classroom with students. Your students were the world. And, you're going to be doing that as you move across the state and country, and help everyone remember that education is like the heart of everything we do. And we need to really do a good job of that, whether it's here at Kirkwood and whether it's in a high school or college setting. And I really think education should be like a big part of what you're doing. And I know you're going to do that.
Absolutely. And, you are, both of you mentioned heart about education, and it really is at the heart of what I think we need to stand for and the values we need to pursue in our country. And I just want us to trust and respect, especially our teachers again, so that we can get to where we need to go in terms of providing these pathways for opportunity. And, we live in such a fast-moving world right now that, what you decide to do, Drew, when you get out of high school may not be what you decide to do when you're Jason's age, or what Andrew decides to do coming out of the Naval Academy may not be the same. Or, Ellen, you may decide in 10, 15 years to use your education for something else. That's the beauty of our system. We do have that flexibility. And there's not many other places in the world that really do have that. But with that flexibility comes a responsibility to make sure that our young people are well prepared so that they can be on a trajectory that allows them to make the choices that are best for them as they grow up. And that's what I want to see again. I never doubted that when I telling you I'm running for president, but I knew that if I got a good education, I did my part. I had to work hard. I'm not just sitting around, letting somebody else do it. But if I did, that this country held out so much promise for me, and it then would be up to me to try to find my way forward and make the decisions that were best for me and my family. That's what I want for everybody. I have this new granddaughter, and I want her to have every opportunity, but I want every child in our country to have every opportunity. And that's one of the main reasons that I decided to run, because believe me, I know that it's not going to be easy, that I'm going to have to work hard to earn every single vote and get every caucus goer I can round up to show up next February. But I just felt like I couldn't walk away from what I see as the challenges we face. And I want to build on what we've done to get out of the terrible recession and get back on our feet. But we have to run the race. And I don't want people whose views about how we run that race that I don't believe are in the best interests of our country to be making the decisions. So I'm here, and I'm looking forward to traveling around the state, and I think I'll go to a few more community colleges and learn some more by talking to the people and seeing what you're doing and finding ideas that not only work in Iowa but can work anywhere. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can we get a picture?
Yeah, let's get a picture and... And all of the people with the college, let's do a picture with this group, and then want your instructors and students to come up behind us, too?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, great. So I don't know who's going to take this picture, but I assume... Oh, Barb will. Barb will. Okay, great. Yeah, come on around, and we'll get everybody in, and then we'll get everybody else, okay?
Students,
instructors, everybody here at Kirkwood, please. Get in. And I want to say hello to all of you, too, but can we get everybody in? Oh, yeah, great.
just tell them what to do.
Yeah, just get us organized. Can you see us all?
Mrs. Clinton, what did you learn today? What did you take away from all this?
So much good information, so much great exchange about what works, what can work, not just here in Iowa, but I think across the country. I'm stealing the idea of opportunity society because education, opportunity system, because education is at the core of that. And that's what we've got to get back to doing. We've got to build that opportunity structure once again so that everybody in this country, no matter who they are, where they come from, they feel again that they've got the same chance as anybody else, the same chance as, my granddaughter. I don't know how many babies were born on September 26th last year, but I want every one of them to feel like they have the same opportunities that we're going to do everything we can to make sure Charlotte does. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. I saw your head nodding. What's your role here? I'm directors, also Sure, absolutely.
All right, it looks like Hillary Clinton has wrapped up her roundtable where she took questions from educators and students on a wide range of topics, community colleges, her plans for education, investing in tuition, student debt, and quite a lengthy little discussion there, but I thought it was a very good one. A lot of information there, whether you are a supporter of Hillary or not. I think you saw a direction for where she is planning to take this particular issue in her bid for the 2016 presidential election. So I don't have much else to talk about. We've covered most of our major issues or major stories earlier before the Hillary story, or for the Hillary press conference began. I just had Ron Hoon here, unfortunately, seeing if he could join us, but this was still going on, so unfortunately he's left for the day as well. So we are going to be wrapping it up. For today, again, we will not have a broadcast this afternoon, but we will be back tomorrow with our regular broadcast at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Arizona time. If you would like to get an alert on your mobile device when we go live with the Fox 10 News Now, you can download those. Go to fox10phoenix.com/mobile, and you can have a link for your favorite personal device. We're also on Twitter. Yep, Fox 10 News Now. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a lot of ways you can stay connected with us. And we are working to bring you news in all kinds of different interesting ways. Appreciate the chat in our chat room. Everybody who's been there today talking about the issues and saying hi. Appreciate your input. Thank you. And you have a fantastic day. If you're watching on another platform and you're like, what chat room is this guy talking about? Go to youtube.com/Fox10Phoenix when we are live, and you will see it there. It's a great group of people, and one of the things we like about this format is the ability to hear back from you on the topics that we're discussing. Okay, one last topic before we go, and that is a lot of you have heard through Twitter and other means that Troy Hayden has an interview with Juan Martinez. I would tune in, if I were you, to Channel 10, Fox 10, at 5 p.m. You can all, if you're not local in Arizona and you're still following the Jodi Arias case, then I would make sure that you log on to fox10phoenix.com. That's our website. And we do a stream, not this stream, a different one, of the actual broadcast in the corner. So you can tune in no matter where you are, either Channel 10 or fox10phoenix.com. At 5 p.m. And I can't speak much about what Mr. Hayden has going on, but if you are a follower of the Jodi Arias case and you do know who Juan Martinez is, then I would strongly suggest that you should be watching about 5 o'clock. And that's all that I have to say on that. So, all of you wonderful people, I appreciate you joining me. Have a fantastic day, whatever it holds, and we will see you again soon on Fox 10 News Now. Cheers.
Oh, Lord.